Friday the 13th, one of the most iconic horror franchises of all time, and Jason Voorhees, one of the most recognizable slashers to ever grace our screens. A match made in movie heaven that has continued to deliver thrills, laughs, boobs, and of course, blood for decades. With one of the highest body counts in the subgenre, Jason could have populated this list all by himself. But in this video, we're going above and beyond by including the kills and deaths of every Friday the 13th killer. With a staggering 202 entries on this list, which one of them will machete chop their way to the top spot? Let's find out. Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video, I am going to be tier listing and ranking every Friday the 13th kill/death. It is also incredibly important for me to note that this list was based off of the kills counted by the kill counting king himself, James A. Janice of the Dead Meat YouTube channel. On top of having seen all of the movies for myself numerous times for my favorites, I used Dead Meat's recounts from a few years back, as they are the most up-to-date versions. You'll see the slightest variations in my list, which I'll try my very best to mention at the time, including my not including everyone who would have, say, died in the space station explosion in Jason X, just as an example. You'll also see the popular Friday the 13th fan films Never Hike Alone 1 and 2, as well as Never Hike in the Snow. I figured if they're good enough to get a dedicated kill count, then they're good enough to be included here. Like I also just mentioned in the intro, there will be a ranking at the end too. I'm not sure as of right now if I'll rank all 202 kill/deaths, as that might be a bit absurd and tedious, like just a tiny bit of overkill, but I'll definitely do at the very least like a top 50 or something. So stick around till the end for that. Of course, there will always be timestamps, so if you want to just jump right to the ranking, then feel free. If tier lists are something you enjoy doing, I'll leave a link to this template in the description below for you to check out yourself. And before I hop into the actual video, I just wanted to let you all know that I have carefully curated playlists for every type of video I do. Whether it's tier list and ranking videos, top 10s versus videos, video essays, there is a playlist for all. So I encourage you to explore the channel, and I guarantee you'll find something you like. And if by some chance you don't, then feel free to suggest something you might like. And so, without further ado, buckle up, because it's time to hop right into things. Alrighty folks, we are now over on the actual tier list, and like I said in the intro, this is a big boy. This is a giant list. There are 202 entries on here, which also brings me to the point that I wanted to mention that, again, like I said in the intro, there's going to be some mild variation between my list and the lists found on Dead Meat. That is including when multiple characters get killed in one instance. For instance, like the triple decapitation in Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. I'm not going to count those as 3 separate kills like the kill count does, because yes, it's 3 characters dying, but it's all in one move. Or like when the characters in Part 2, they get speared at the same time, Jeff and Sandra, like they both get speared, they're both killed. I'm not going to count and talk about them like they're 2 separate deaths or anything. Which brings me to my next point when talking about the deaths. Again, there's 202 on here to talk about, so obviously some are going to be talked about more than others. The big major ones, the ones that I love, I'm gonna discuss a little bit more in depth, but the ones that are like quick cutaways, they're off-screen kills, they're kill when a character is basically just screaming into the camera and then we never see them again, those aren't going to be talked about as much, because for the sake of time and for the sake of my sanity, and if you're actually going to stick through this whole video, then your sanity too. And as I always like to mention, I do things a little bit differently here when it comes to the names of my tiers, rather than the traditional S, A, B, C, D, F tier. I just rename them just so they're a little more me, a little more unique to the channel. So replacing the S tier is godlike, replacing the A tier is awesome sauce, replacing the B tier is good as gold, replacing the C tier quite alright, and replacing the D tier is super meh. And of course at the very bottom is rock bottom, replacing that F tier. And once again, before I actually dive into my own personal tier list and ranking of all of these kills slash deaths, a friendly reminder that if this is something you enjoy doing, I will have the link down in the description to this template. So if it's something you want to do for fun, it's something you enjoy doing in your spare time, if you have your own YouTube channel that you want to cover something like this on, I'm not someone that's going to hog this or put it on like a, you know, whatever, a copyright or a trademark or hide it and make it a private list or anything like that. I'm not about that kind of stuff. I put in the work. It took a lot of time. I'm not going to lie. This video was supposed to be out a few days ago, but there was a lot more time and effort and work that went into this than I had originally anticipated, and probably a lot more to come after I'm done recording this in terms of actually editing it, chopping it up, getting like little clips and images and things like that. So I don't want to keep this from people. I don't want to hide it from people who are fans of the franchise or those of you who enjoy doing this sort of thing. So yeah, I'm not going to hog it. And I'm also realizing too that for some reason when I imported all of these files, it doesn't recognize double-digit numbers or anything like that. So like I'm looking right now and you see Pam at second place here. She's not supposed to be. She's supposed to be the 10th kill of the movie, but since it's 1-0, it just counts it as kill 1, kill 1-0. And so on. So I will try to keep them in order as best I can, but like some of the movies, they get up into like the 20s and stuff like that. So it's going to be a bit more difficult there, but I'll try my best to remember like character names and kind of describe to you if you're not familiar or if you kind of forget how they died in their respective movies. I'll try my best to mention what happened to them, how they died, so on and so forth. So our very first kill of the Friday the 13th franchise is our homeboy Barry, who was trying to get his beak wet, we'll say, just to keep it really PG for now. And he actually gets stabbed in the first-person view. Of course, as many people know, Friday the 13th is a direct ripoff of the original Halloween movie, and Halloween actually took the first-person killer view from Black Christmas, which was a Canadian movie from 1974, so they actually did it first, maybe even others before them. But yeah, this was a first person kill, and then it's like he kind of just goes and keels over, and then he's just kind of shown bloody falling to the side. So I'm actually going to put this in super mad because as far as first kills in major movie franchises go, it's pretty lackluster, and what's even more lackluster is the second kill, which I won't put as a rock bottom one because it does take us to the title card, which I think is pretty cool. Like, it just cuts in like she's screaming, and then the movie freeze frames, and then it like goes into her mouth, and that's when you get the first intro. But I can't see me giving it any higher than Superman. Like, it's a pretty dull kill. You don't actually get to see anything. After that, we have Annie's death, the first kind of like bloody-ish death we actually see take place in real time, but it's just kind of a throat slit, and I feel like there's a lot of those in this franchise, so then a lot of the time it comes to like the build-up and the aftermath. As far as things go for this very first one, though, I'll put it in quite alright. You're gonna notice some themes as we go through this list where like, oh, the off-screen kills will end up in like rock bottom unless they're really creative or something, and like the Superman is gonna be for the ones that are like shown, but like the actual blood and guts and stuff is off screen because likely the MPAA shot that shit down. And then like, you know, throat slits and this and that will probably go in like quite alright, and then like the godlike and awesome sauce are saved for the more unique or more violent kills slash deaths. After that, we literally just see our homeboy here, Ned is his name, I believe. He's just found dead off screen. That's it. I don't even think we see him like get taken by Mrs. Voorhees in the first movie. We don't see anything. It's literally like a couple of characters are screwing. It cuts up to the top bunk, slowly panning up there, and he's just found there with like his throat slit on the top bunk while everyone's getting down and dirty below him. So there's nothing all that remarkable about it. So rock bottom is suiting for me. Then, of course, we have the Baconator himself, the Bacon Man, Kevin Bacon, in one of his earliest film roles. And let's face it, I'm not going to put this in godlike, because that's saved for the best of the best. But this is definitely ending up in awesome sauce. I would say it's by far the most iconic kill of that first movie. The arrow coming from under the bed with the hand on the forehead and going up through. It's definitely like the bloodiest. It doesn't really cut away. You kind of sit with it a little bit. You get that little like spurt of blood. And then of course nowadays it's like it's Kevin Bacon. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of the same effect as like when Johnny Depp died in A Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that. Like, yeah, it didn't mean that much then, but looking back on it now, it's pretty cool. Like to be one of the first big kills in a major movie franchise, or what would go on to be a major movie franchise. Now we have Marcy, I believe her name is, and I'll put this one in good as gold. I don't think it's quite as iconic as the Kevin Bacon arrow through the back of the neck out the front kill, because it cuts away pretty quick. Like, we don't actually see the impact. We see like the light swinging, she screams, the axe swings down, and then we see kind of the aftermath very briefly, because of course, again, throughout the 80s, the MPA was all over slashers and other horror movie franchises, cutting down pretty much anything and everything. So it made it difficult to show a lot of blood and gore and a lot of really cool shit. So good as gold seems pretty fitting for Mercy. Then we go to Brenda, who is another one that's like, she's fine. Like, the floodlights turn on. I like the setup. She goes outside. She's a good person, trying to help like a small child or whatever she's hearing outside. But then afterwards, she's kind of just thrown through the window, and you can very clearly tell it's not her. It's a stunt double getting thrown through the window. I believe the behind the scenes stuff said it was actually makeup artist, makeup legend Tom Savini getting thrown through the window. So as kills go, not all that impressive, and same with our boy here, Steve Christy. It's another one where he kind of just gets stabbed off screen, so I think I could put it in with this one, but at least with the other two, like, you see some of the blood, and then the other one, like, it's smashed to the opening credits, so it's like, I feel like you have to put Steve Christy down in the bottom tier, because you kind of just see him go like, huh, and fall over, and it's not really all that impressive. I'll put, what is his name? Bill, I think his name is. I'll put him because, and quite alright, because although we don't actually see him die, it's pretty gruesome finding him like that, and I think it probably did shock viewers quite a bit back in the good old 80s when, you know, she opens up the door and then all of a sudden this guy's pinned there with a bunch of arrows through, and there's quite a bit of blood and the makeup looks pretty good. So I think that that's pretty fitting for that. And then our last kill for the original Friday the 13th is Pamela Voorhees, who was actually known as Mrs. Voorhees until like the 4th movie or something. Her first kill, and although I don't think it's going to go in godlike, I think I will also put this one in awesome sauce just because of how iconic it is. Not only the head getting knocked off with like the slight blood spurts, but then the very manly hands coming up at the end and just like ripping the air and stuff like that. It's goofy, it's funny. Obviously it doesn't hold up all that well in every respect, but in terms of what it was able to show us and like, you know, the kind of goofy nature of the hands coming up at the end and stuff like that, and the fact that it was the main villain getting her head lobbed off, I think that's pretty fitting. Awesome sauce works for me. But now we're moving on to Friday the 13th, Part 2. And the very first kill is our final girl from the last movie, Alice. And this one is fine. We get the ice pick to the temple. She finds what I believe is a Mrs. Voorhees head, a severed head of some sort in her fridge. She gets grabbed from behind, then the ice pick goes into the temple. It's not extremely bloody, not extremely graphic or anything like that, but because she's a main character and you feel for her and it's like the opening kill, it makes a bit of a statement to kick things off. It's a much bigger statement than the first 2 kills of the first movie, a little more graphic and everything, so I think that good as gold suits her. Then we get our boy Crazy Ralph. I'll put his in good as gold too. I might regret some of these again. I always do when I look back at them. He's garroted to death, you know, it's like the thing you see in a lot of like Hitman or Mafia movies, for those of you who don't know like a, you know, what garroted to death means. It's one of the ones where it's got like the very thin wire with the handles on either side. You put, you know, it's typically, oh, the guy from the back seat puts it around the neck of the guy in the front seat, you twist, you pull, cuts through. That's what we got here for Crazy Ralph. He gets it around the tree. Could have been way more graphic if it was done like today. I'm sure people would have gotten like really graphic with it in terms of being a very early 80s slasher sequel. They did it as good as they could. Now we get the hammer claw from Deputy Winslow to the back of the head. Hammer claw to the back of the head. His, like, I screen capped this face here because it is really goofy. Ooh, I mean, look at that. I think I'll put his in good as gold also, just because hammer claw kills I don't want to say enjoy because that sounds a little messed up, but like, Hammer Claw is a deadly friggin' weapon, man, and people often, you know, you see hammers show up in horror movies and it's typically used for bashing and stuff. The Hammer Claw doesn't get enough love in horror movies, so the fact that Winslow, even if the death is a little bit goofier, he gets Hammer Clawed to the back of the head, so that has my respect for sure. Then we have our guy, Scott, and I don't care for this kill very much at all. Superman, he gets hung upside down after being a douche, stealing the woman's clothes, who's skinny dipping. I believe it was Terry that was skinny dipping. Steals her clothes, runs away, gets hung upside down by his feet, and then he gets his throat slit with the dull side of a machete. It's not all that violent, it's not all that bloody, and for a character that was a bit more of an arse that I would have liked to have seen gone a bit more gruesomely, perhaps, could have used a bit better. Then Terry herself is going in rock bottom. It's one of those ones where all she really does is just scream into the camera, but like nothing is shown. So we're just, you know, left to believe like, yeah, I guess she got killed by the machete. Maybe she got killed another way. Maybe she ran away and survived and we never saw her ever again. But the fact of the matter is that all we saw was her screaming into the camera, and then that was pretty much it. Now we have Mark, and I'm so tempted to make this the first entry. But there's so many really good kills that I want to put in Godlike, because Godlike, depending on how many end up there, of the 202 at the end, we'll see how things go. So I think for now I'm going to have to put Mark in awesome sauce. I might regret it later. Maybe I'll move him up. I just love the machete to the face, the makeup on it, the angle that we get, the sound, the impact, and then the wheelchair going down the stairs. Just adding insult to injury. I do love that kill. I really, really do. And then this one here with Jeff and Sandra. I believe it's Jeff and Sandra. Quite all right's fine for me. Again, what issues being, of course, that Sandra, the actress, was only 17 at the time, so that was one major issue that we found out, of course, much later after the fact. And the MPAA from behind the scenes footage, it shows that this was actually supposed to be a much more graphic kill. It was cut down quite a bit. We only get the spear like once through the back, comes through the other end bloody, some shots of her screaming and stuff like that. So the fact, I like the idea of the kill, it's just not super duper graphic. So I think the best I can give that one's quite all right. Then we have, I think, is this the last kill already? It is, Vicky, our last kill for this second movie. I was going to say first sequel, but it's easier just to say part 2. And I'm also going to give Vicky down here. We get a first-person shot, but it's very blurry, and then we just get this face. Another reason why I screen capped this face is because you just kind of see the knife, and then it goes off screen, and then she's just like, ugh, and then makes this kind of goofy-looking face, and that's all we really get from her. And that's, you know, that's her character's death, and off screen, and no blood, and we don't even find a body later that makes it like gory or anything like that. And as far as I could tell, according to me and good old James A. Janice from Dead Meat, there was only actually 8 kills in Friday the 13th Part 2, which is the odd step down from the original movie. Usually in these sequels, they bump that body count up, but they actually went down with Part 2. But now we're moving on to Part 3, and our very first guy is good old Harold. And I don't mind this kill, actually. I think it could go in good as gold for the fact that they actually get to show a fair bit of it now. It didn't end up being as bloody and gruesome as they were hoping. He had the tube in his chest that was supposed to squirt a bunch of blood out and everything, but where they put the cleaver into the piece of like balsa wood or whatever the hell it was, it actually trapped the tube, and that's why most of the blood is like in the shirt and everything. But it still is pretty great that they showed it all in camera, and it wasn't cut away, it wasn't a close-up, it wasn't like any kind of these cheap tricks to get past the MPAA. They actually just straight up showed him get cleavered to the chest. So even if it wasn't as bloody or graphic as they were hoping for it to be, it definitely, I appreciate that it was all in camera at a time where it was very difficult for those things to get done. We're going to Edna. I actually don't dislike this one either. Like, Jason smashes through the window, grabs her head. We see the knitting needle go into the back of the head. And then I do like the added, like, hand over the mouth with blood coming through there, because like they didn't have to do that, right? But again, they're trying to find these tricks, these workarounds, so the MPA won't absolutely butcher and lambaste their movie and everything like that and make them chop it down to everything. So the fact that like they show the impact, but then they cut away, but then they give us a little bit of blood outside the hand and everything, so that does make it a little bit more fun. Fox, our first biker chick, I'll put her in quite all right. Even though it doesn't make much sense, I like the cool shot that they did with like the pulley system or the harness that they use, because she has the pitchfork like through her like chest, neck area. She's pinned up in the rafters of the barn. And then I kind of like how the camera, I can't remember if it pans down or pans up, but we see her legs dangling. So I think that's actually a pretty cool little trick that they did to show a kill like that, to make it a little bit more creative. Then we have our boy, I think his name is Axel, but I could be wrong. No, it's not. It's Loco. He gets a pitchfork to the gut. I think because I put the knitting needle one here, I almost automatically have to put this one here too. It's the same thing. What you see in the image is mostly what you get. You kind of see him get stabbed off screen, but then it cuts to his back and you kind of see the prongs from the pitchfork going through his back a little bit. It's a little bit bloody, and then the guy, he times his cigarette drop perfectly and everything. So I think I'll give him a bit more props for that one. Then we move on to one of my favorites for sure. Not going to end up in Godlike, because again, I don't think it's that top highest tier Friday the 13th kills. But yeah, fun fact too, for those of you who aren't as familiar with the franchise, but this kill is the very first time we see Jason Voorhees in his iconic hockey mask. He gets it off of Shelly, who we find dead later, but this is the first time he actually appears on screen with his iconic hockey mask. And of course, with the 3D effects, he has the harpoon gun, shoots it, the harpoon goes woo right up into our faces in terms of that wacky camera work that they did for the gimmicky 3D back then. And then it basically, obviously, they didn't have what it took to show the impact, but then it cuts to her, and although she's making a bit of a goofy face and whatnot, it's a pretty sweet kill. Let's not lie. The 3D and then the harpoon gun to the eye. So I feel like I can't not put that up in awesome sauce. And the next one too, with our handstanding man, Andy. Although the kill itself isn't as crazy graphic, again, as it probably would be today. Obviously, we've seen a lot of these like crazy like saw or chopping in half kills with like the Terrifier movies and things like that go like extra graphic, extra gruesome, people getting like ripped in half and stuff. But the upside down camera angle where we're like embedded in the floor looking up, he gets chopped and then he falls, but that's not the piece de resistance. It's the finding him after the fact with like his split inner thighs in the rafters. I think that's pretty sick. That's pretty cool. And again, the fact that they were able to cleverly get around the MPAA with certain things, certain cutaways, showing certain things, that they could still get their point across, still be graphic, bloody, give people their thrills, but make sure their movie didn't get constantly slapped with like an X rating or anything like that. So I do think that that one is actually among the better ones. Then we have like a neck stab. I think that's what in the Dead Meat recount, they said she was stabbed in the neck, Debbie, but it's not, and it's just not as good. It looks like it's more like this area to me, like the upper chest, maybe a little bit of lower neck, but where the prosthetic is, it doesn't look like it's the neck to me. It's an obvious nod to the Kevin Bacon kill from the original movie, but it's not as memorable, it's not as graphic, and I just find it's less convincing too. So quite all right. I think it's pretty fitting for this one. The best I could find for Shelly's death with all the close-ups and everything is him just standing here, because he just kind of busts through the door and he's got his throat slit and everything like that. So it's not that good. And honestly, I'm putting this in rock bottom. Some people might have it a bit higher because it is a little bit more graphic with the throat slit and stuff like that. But for a character that I genuinely despise, I hated Shelly. He is one of my least favorite characters in any of the Friday the 13th movies. I'm sure he was written that way. I don't have any disdain for the actor or anything like that, but a very, very annoying character. For him to just go off like that off screen, there could have been something way cooler, because Shelly's the one that has the mask that is Jason's iconic mask. Like, obviously they didn't know at the time that the mask was going to become this iconic thing, this bit of imagery, horror movie history and everything. But it definitely could have been a bit cooler. We could have seen a bit more of Shelly's death and everything like that, but because we didn't, and it was a character I hated so much, we're rock bottoming him. And then we have, who's this one? Chuck. We have our boy Chuck. It's the first of the electrical panel kills, and that's also going in rock bottom because it's just not that fun. It's not that clever. It's not even the best one of these. Some of the others, like we see the character or like the dummy or whatever it is catch on fire. Sometimes we see their skin get a bit fried and things like that. So for the very first electrical panel kill, it's not all that interesting. You see some sparks, you see the actor kind of jigging out a little bit, and it's not all that fun. It's not all that creative. Now we have Chili, and I'll put her in quite all right. As much as the build up to the kill is super goofy with the very, very bad or good B-movie acting. The Shelly's dead. Oh my god. Shelly's dead! and like speed walking around the house. It's very goofy, very off kilter. But the fire poker kill, and it's like we have some other fire poker kills or things like that are very similar, but this might be the only one where we have like an actual like steaming fire poker, like a hot fire poker. And although again the impact is off screen, but then the afterwards where we're seeing that smoke and everything like that, it's pretty awesome. So I'll put it in quite all right. Now we have our guy Rick. Look, it's going in awesome sauce. I don't care what anyone says. It was like the first, I'm looking at the list now, it was the first Jason head crush kill. And although it's among the least graphic, because all we get is like the eye pop and it's very obvious on the string or the wire or the whatever it is. You see the eyeball going for the 3D effect, but hey, look, 3D then was new technology. You could see in the behind the scenes stuff, or if you just watch the kill count recount, it was very difficult to get these 3D shots. The camera, the technology was very finicky. So the fact that they had to keep this there and show it and stuff like that, I don't blame them. I think it's pretty great. It's an obviously fake dummy head, but look, the work that went into it and how fun it is, I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. Then we have the last kill of the movie and the last biker guy, Ali, and I'm going to put him a little bit lower. The part that I do like of the kill is his hand coming off. He gets his hand chopped off. He's looking at it. It's actually pretty cool. It's pretty graphic, but then afterwards he kind of just gets beaten off screen. You just kind of see Jason wailing on him, but you don't really see much else besides that. So if they would have kept up the tempo that they had with the arm chop, and then we got to see him getting beat or anything else happened to him, it probably could have been bumped up a bit higher, but the fact that it was all off screen afterwards makes me not want to have it all that high. But I think that does it. I think that actually does do it for our Friday the 13th part 3 kills. We're already on to 4, so we're cooking here. That's pretty good because we're getting them done in like less than 10 minutes a movie at this rate, so I enjoy that. Now we have the first kill of Friday the 13th part 4, the final chapter. We have Axel, and honestly, this is tempting to be the first one. For now, I am going to put Axel in Godlike. I really am. I might bump it down. We might switch things up again. This is just like in the moment, off the cuff, what I'm feeling at this point in time. But look, the bone saw, already a pretty good start because it's relatively graphic. But then the head snap, twisting the head all the way around, is awesome. Of course, if you watch that kill count or the behind the scenes stuff, you'll see that it was a bit more graphic, had to be, you know, trimmed down a little bit because he had his actual, like the actor's actual head. He was in a dummy and a prosthetic and he twisted around. You could see the twisted neck and then his face and everything like that. So was chopped down a little bit, but for what it is, the bone saw into the head twist, it's pretty fantastic. Then we're going to go to the nurse next, and hers, I tempted to put it in awesome sauce, but I'll put it in good as gold for now. Nurse Morgan, the scalpel to the stomach and then kind of the pulling it down the torso is pretty great, but again, they had to, you know, cut some corners and try to mix things up a little bit because the tube was supposed to have a lot more blood going down, but then again, in the behind the scenes footage, you see that the way it reacted, it almost made it look like she was just like peeing blood, so they didn't show that part. So you do get the pinned against the wall, the scalpel to the stomach, and then kind of like the slit down the torso, but the graphic aftermath was very reduced thanks to the stuff just like not working, like the tubes and everything like that. But like, hey, that's showbiz, so what are you gonna do? Now we have the hitchhiker. I don't even know if the hitchhiker gets any lines or anything, but I'm putting this one in super meh. It's just another one of those like through the back kills. Like, I like that it comes out the neck, but this kill kind of grosses me out because you're seeing like the spit and the saliva and like the chewed up banana and stuff, and it's a nothing character. I don't feel anything for this character at all. I don't feel anything for her dying, so I'm gonna put her in super meh. Then we have the raft death. Samantha, quite all right, and the main reason is because of the stupid face and noises that she makes. The kill itself, not that bad. It's actually kind of terrifying, the idea of just like out lazing around in a raft in the middle of a lake and then all of a sudden getting grabbed and stabbed up through the bottom and stuff like that. Is it stabbed up through the bottom? I think it's stabbed up through the stomach, I believe. Also, how does the raft stay afloat and everything right afterwards? Because she does get found later. I don't know how the raft stays afloat. Doesn't matter. But the noise that she makes and the tongue sticking out and stuff like that, it's just like top tier bad acting. They're like, hey, pretend you're getting stabbed in the stomach, and she's like, oh, okay, stuck her tongue out and just started making these weird noises and stuff. So I think I'll put her in quite all right for that one. The next one is our boy. It's her boyfriend, or the guy that's like kind of her boyfriend, Paul. I'll put him right next to her. I don't think it's anything all that special. It's the harpoon gun to like the groin area, and then the trigger gets pulled, but we don't really see a whole lot of it. Like, you see the harpoon gun go into the groin, but then you don't really see much after that. And for a character that was a bit of an ass, because like, the reason that his girlfriend was out on this raft is because he started flirting with and everything, that one of those twins that just kind of showed up after the fact. So the fact that he does that, and then that's kind of the best he gets. I mean, I get that it's a shot to the groin, which is obviously a shot at him for that reason, but the fact that he doesn't get much worse is a bit of a bother. Now we have Terry, who was one of the two twins. And just on principle alone, I'll put her in good as gold. Although her kill is off screen and then she's pinned against the house, it is one of the most, if not the most creative off-screen kill in the franchise, where you see the lightning flashing and you see Jason approaching with, I think it's a spear, and then you see the lightning flash where she just gets it through the back, and then we still get to see the body hit the house. So on principle alone, there's so many off-screen kills in this franchise, and the fact that this one tried to do something a bit more creative, a bit different, makes me want to give it a bit more love and put it up a tiny bit higher. Then we have Mrs. Jarvis, and again, it's another one of those kills that I believe was supposed to be a little bit more graphic, but they just couldn't find a workaround, so they just essentially had to work with what they had, and all they had in the end is a character like this screaming into the camera, and then she's never seen again, so rock bottom for her. Then we have my boy George McFly, Crispin Glover. Look, I'm putting this one in godlike because it just, all of it comes together. The, hey, Ted, where the hell is the corkscrew? Then the corkscrew to the hand, which is bloody and gruesome enough. Then the head turn, then the cleaver chop to the head, and then it still shows him in his head shaking with the blood and everything like that. It is absolutely a top tier Friday the 13th kill, and undeniably, undoubtedly going into that godlike tier. Now we have to make sure I'm staying on task here. We have, I believe this is the second twin, Tina. And Tina, I'm just trying to compare to the other kills that I have in the certain areas. I think this is the best of the out the window kills, so I'm going to put Tina in good as gold as well. Although, again, no idea how Jason got up there. This is like the start of his, like, or close to the start of his teleportation abilities. But him grabbing her through the window, nothing new. We see that a few times in the series, but the fact that the stunt double gets launched out the window and lands on and shatters the top of a car is pretty awesome. It's like the best of the thrown out the window kills, or among the best. Then we have Ted's, and Ted's is fine. I'll put him in quite all right. Again, he's one of the characters that was really annoying. I would have liked to have seen him go in a worse way. He gets stabbed in the back of the head through the projector, but then it's kind of cool afterwards how, like, he slides down, the blood's on the projector, and the projector screen continues to, like, slit down. So they try to be a bit more creative with it. It's definitely not among the best in the franchise, but overall, it's a halfway decent kill. Then we have our first, or our second, I think, first of these types of head crush kills. The boyfriend in the shower, Doug is his name. Yeah, it's not bad. It starts off just okay with, like, the shot that I have here for the image where he's kind of just getting his face, like, pushed with Jason's dirty hands. But then you actually get the crunch, the sound effects, and the head kind of collapsing in against the wall. So I actually do enjoy that one. You know what? I might even bump that one up because I am a fan of a good head crush kill. So I'll bump that one up. This next one, his girlfriend running around in the towel, I'll put hers in quite all right. All it is she's essentially trying to get out the front door, and the axe just flies through the front door and gets into, like, her chest, stomach area, and then she kind of just falls over. So it's pretty unceremonious. The axe making it through the door and into her chest is like, oh, okay, I guess that can work. So yeah, we'll put that one in Superman. Then we have our boy Wildman Rob. You can't really see that one. It's a very dark image, but that's because he has a very dark, not dark as in graphic, but very dark as in it's hard as hell to see death. And the reason this one ends up in Superman, when it could probably be a bit higher because he gets killed by, like, some kind of garden tool, it's because he's literally, it's like he's speaking to, like, a blind audience or something, which is like, whatever, closed caption brought to you by, and so on and so forth, or whatever, you know, movies and shows for the visually impaired. But Like, he's literally just screaming, he's killing me, he's killing me, he's killing, and it's annoying and it's stupid. So, yeah, we're gonna go past that one, and we're gonna go to our first official of many Jason Voorhees deaths, and this one is going into Godlike, and it just deserves it. Though the actual, like, final blows of Tommy Jarvis screaming, die, 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 hitting you with the machete, not all that convincing, but the fact that it starts off with, like, the machete cutting his hand in half, amazing prosthetics, amazing makeup work, and then the kill itself, the machete swinging into the head, epic, and then him hitting the ground and the machete sliding up the side of his head with the animatronics and the people working the puppeteering and stuff like that, with like the eyes moving and the mouth moving and everything. It is one sick kill, and I absolutely love it. So it is definitely going in that Godlike tier. And that wraps up Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, which was far from the final chapter. So yeah, that's the not so final chapter, as there's 11 more entries to come after this one. Now we're on to Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. This is one of the only times that Jason isn't the killer in the franchise, because as a new beginning, they decided, well, we're actually just gonna stick with Jason being killed and try something new. Of course, as we all know, fans responded very negatively to that, very vocally. People were not a fan that Jason did not come back for Part 5, so they decided to go back and literally call the next one Part 6, Jason Lives, because they were like, hey guys, pump the brakes, we're sorry, never gonna happen again, Jason's back, and we'll just make him a zombie or whatever. But for now, we're talking about Part 5, where our boy Roy Burns is the blue marked masked hockey man, you know, our knockoff Jason. So the first two kills in this movie are two gravediggers, Neil and Les. They are dream kills, but again, they were counted on dead meat, so I figured why the hell not. There are some that are like really out there, like it's impossible. Like I really could not justify counting them, with like in Part 8 where James was like, oh yeah, I could count at least like 18 other people on this boat that we never see die, so we're just going to count them as kills. I'm not going to count that because it's not a kill and there's no way for me to even talk about it, so it just feels pointless. But these we actually see on screen, so you know, and they are characters at least to a certain degree, and they are named, so we're going to count them. And the first one is Les, I believe. No, Neil goes first. And this one is just a machete to the gut, and because it's a dream kill, I'm going to put it in super meh. It's actually slightly, it's not like graphic or anything like that, but it shows at least a little bit. Okay, we're going to try to stay on track-ish though, and go in the order that they're supposed to go in. So now we have the next guy, who is Les. His is slightly more graphic, but again, it's a dream kill. I like that it's kind of a screwdriver to the neck. It's a little bit, again, more graphic, shows a little bit more blood, but it's nothing all that special. Then our next one, we're going all the way here to our chocolate-loving Joey, and him... I like the insinuation, if that's the right word, what we're supposed to imply from this kill is what I'm saying, how it's like it's this big burly man with an axe, hits him in the back. The facial expression on the first hit's pretty good, but then it's just not really shown. It's not all that graphic. For an axe to the back, repeated axe to the back, it's not all that insane, it's not all that crazy, so I'm gonna have to put it down in super meh, unless I'm forgetting something and that's actually way worse or way, you know, better than I remember. I don't really feel the need to put it too much higher. Where am I at here now? Now, Vinny. Vinny, I will actually put slightly higher. It's a close-up, so you don't get, like, the full, like, awesome scope of how good this kill really could be, but the road flare to the mouth and seeing the cheeks light up and everything like that is pretty sick, so I do like that one. Then we have Jason pulling a Michael Myers, straight up being in the backseat to kill the other guy, Pete. But you know what? It's very mediocre. So again, with like the throat slits, I'm kind of starting a trend of like putting them all in this area, because the camera punches in, so you don't actually see the graphicness of the kill. You see the aftermath, and then you see him hit his head against the horn and stuff like that, so that's okay, but the fact that the camera punches in at the last second is a bit of a piss off. So that was actually going to go slightly lower. Then we have Billy. Honestly, I kind of like this one. Even though it's an obvious dummy getting the axe to the head, it's kind of cool because it's our first time seeing like an axe to the head actually shown, if I'm correct. Like looking around at these other kills that are already here, we actually get to see the impact of the axe hitting the head. Again, even if it is an obvious dummy, it's still the fact that we get to see the impact. So I actually kind of love that. Then we have, I think her name is Lana. Because her actual kill is really boring. She gets like an axe to the stomach off screen, but her death pose with the red light and everything is actually kind of weirdly like majestic. So I'm going to actually put hers in quite all right just because I love the way that she is found after the fact. Then we get this like creeper guy. So whatever. He gets stabbed at the gut, falls over. He's not even really a character. He's just basically an extra body for the count. He was a creeper watching a young couple have sex. So it's like, you know what? Screw that guy. He deserved worse. He's one that deserved the garden shears that come up next or the belt or something like that. Instead, the creeper just gets a little gut stab and he just topples over and it's not all that graphic. This one, based on what we have, I feel like I can't put it in good as gold because we get her POV, and it's not even, it's like the POV if we were eyes in her mouth, because the garden shears go like, we're looking up and they go like above us. You see a little bit of the graphic aftermath after the fact, but again, like many things, especially in the early movies for this franchise and many other slashers that came out at that time that wanted to go through the MPAA, it was very cut down. It was supposed to be way bloodier. I like that we get at least a shot of the aftermath with like the garden shear lines and the blood in the eyes and stuff like that, but it could have been way more graphic. So the fact that it's coming like right after an actual axe to the back of the head and everything like that, the fact that that one got so toned down is definitely a bummer. Now we have another one of my franchise favorites, which means, yep, it's going up into godlike. It's the belt twist. I'm not sure it makes all that much sense, especially when it like snaps at the end and everything like that. But look, the fact that they keep turning back, and it looks like there's real tension when he's like twisting the branch on the belt, and the fact that it cuts back multiple times where it's getting slightly worse, the tighter it gets around his head. I feel like I have to put it in gold. Like, it's one of my favorites for sure. I would say it's probably, looking at what's to come, the best of the movie. So yeah, the next one is what's his face, Enchilada guy's girlfriend. I can't remember if her name is like Anita or Anit or something like that. I'm gonna put her in rock bottom because she's there singing a jammin' tune with her man who's on the shitter. And then when he pops the door open, it gets stopped on her body, and we just see her dead there because she has a very active pulse for someone who had their throat slit to the point that they are dead. And then we have our enchilada man himself, Demon.
Oh, some damn enchiladas. Oh.
He's stabbed through the back and out the tummy. I'll put this one because it's shown, because they get the graphic nature of it. You get a little bit of the bloodshed, a bit of the, you get to see a little bit of it, of the spear or the pole, whatever it is, go through the tum-tum. So I'll put it there. Then we have Junior, I think his name is. And you know what? As much as we don't see much of the kill, he's like a goof. He's such an annoying ass character, but that's what he's there for. He's ripping around on his motorcycle, and then, the machete comes around the corner. And although it's a very obvious fake dummy head, I just like the idea of someone ripping around on a motorcycle and just getting their head chopped off. Like, it's a genuinely great concept for a kill. So even if the execution isn't all the way there, I think it's the only time we really get one of these cool kills. So I think I am going to have to put it in that good as gold tier. Then our homegirl, Ethel. Honestly, she deserves so much better. I will put her in good as gold, mostly because I love the character. And I think it is kind of cool that they had blood on the camera. Like, it's a first person, but from her point of view as the cleaver goes into her head. But you do get some blood, so I think that's kind of cool. And then her head ends up in some scrumptious looking soup. The character, I think, could have deserved a much better death, but you get what you get and you don't get upset. So the fact that they at least took the time to put the blood on the camera and stuff like that makes it feel a little bit more graphic, makes it feel like you're actually in someone's POV this time. So I will keep her there. Then we have this literally nobody character who I think has like one line, Jake. He's killed off screen, another one of those like screaming into the camera. We see him later with a slight like gash across his face, dead in the top bunk. It's not all that exciting. The next character, the one he was trying to sleep with, Robin. In terms of these types of kills, which we get more of in the series of people getting stabbed either up through the top bunk or like down, through the bed and stuff like that. The fact that we don't really see much, we kind of, you know, again, one of those that was supposed to be more graphic, but she's kind of just laying in the bed, and then you just kind of see the machete going up and down from the bottom, but it's not all that exciting. The next one is, again, this random character that has a few scenes, Violet. She's pinned against the wall, and she's stabbed in the gut, but it's very obviously like a soft, squishy pillow, so it's not all that exciting, not all that impactful. The next is this other random coroner dude. I believe that's who it was. Yeah, he was a, what the hell was his name? Duke. A paramedic. They find him. They open up a car door and his head just kind of droops out and he has his throat slit, I believe. And he still has his gum in his mouth. I think it's kind of a stupid kill, stupid death. So I'm not really going to count that one. This one, Matthew Letter, I think I'm actually going to put this in good as gold because quite all right, because although we don't actually see the death, it's actually really great prosthetic and makeup work with like the, whatever it is, the spike or the drill or the screwdriver or whatever in his head, having him pinned against the tree with the blood and everything. So I think that is actually, it's a quite all right kill. So we're going to put it in quite all right. And then we have Gramps, who I barely even remember being in any other part of the movie. I feel like because I just put Matthew Letter there, I think his name was Matthew Letter, because I just put him there, I think I had to put this one here because it's one of the only eye gouge, if not the only eye gouge kill/death we get in the entire franchise. So although it becomes a basic like throw through the window, because he's probably already dead at that point, I'm assuming, with the eye gouge. But again, we found Matthew Letter after he was already dead, and I like his. And now we find Gramps, but it's an eye gouge. We don't really get those in this series too much, so I think I have to almost by default put him there. And then the last one is my boy Roy Burns, who is knocked out of the barn. And you know what? I actually don't mind this kill, so I'll put it in good as gold because it's the reveal of the killer. He falls, he gets put through like the, whatever it is, the tractor harrow, I think is what they called it on the kill count. But I like seeing the spiky things go up through him and stuff like that. And it's, again, it's another killer gone from this franchise. And that's also another movie done and completed. So we're getting through this at a half decent pace. That was our 5th movie already down for the count. And now we will move on to my personal favorite of the franchise, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. It is the only movie, really, obviously there's some others that get a little bit more goofy with their premise and everything, but it's the main movie in my mind that really just runs with the campy, corny, goofy slasher vibe. And it's got some great grade A kills while also still managing to have fun and know when to be lighthearted and play to its audience and everything. So I will start with this one now, I guess. The first one, though, is our boy Alan Hawes, and this set the movie up right away. It gave us the tone right away that we knew this movie was going to have. That just randomly got dragged and dropped there. And I'm going to put this one in awesome sauce because he literally gets his heart punched through his chest and out his back, and Jason holds it, and it's hilarious. And what a note to start the movie off on. And we just know right away after that scene, we're like, oh, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna guess. So I love that one because of the fact that, like, you know, it just is what it is right away. Like, it just shows us, like, this is the movie you're watching. And, you know, I freaking love that. So then we have this random couple who shows up just to be killed. I think it's because they were on the way to the camp or whatever, and this girl next to him, his girlfriend or fiance or wife or whoever it is, she is the sister of another character that is killed later in the movie. But the first guy to go is Darren. And you know what? I actually find this one kind of chuckle-worthy, so I'm going to put it here. Although it is just a spear to the midsection, he brought a gun to a spear fight, didn't work out in his favor. And my favorite part of the kill is when Jason's done with him and he just, like, yeets him over his shoulder. And I think that's absolutely hilarious. And then the next one is his woman, which her name is Lisbeth, I believe. Lisbeth or Elizabeth. Hers is fine, honestly. I'll put hers next to Gramps. So we're starting down. The quite all right's filling up pretty quickly, which is usually the case. Like, these two middle ones are typically the most full of the bunch. The stab through the face isn't shown, but she's held underwater. I kind of like it. It makes me laugh when she tries to offer Jason money to not be killed, and then we get the first person shot with the stab, and then you get to see the bubbling and the held under the water. So it's creative enough, but it's not quite on the level of the good as gold ones that I actually do enjoy quite a bit. After that, we have Bert. I love this kill, and some people are going to be mad at me because I think it's hilarious. Again, it is just showcasing to the fullest effect the tone of this movie. He He's chopping through. He's this misogynistic jerk off. Jason grabs his arm, throws him. We see the panning, smacks his face, pulls it off. There's a smiley face, a bloody smiley face left on the tree, which is the one that pictured. And then Jason just slowly looks at the machete and still has his arm attached. I think it's hilarious, and it cracks me up every single time. This next one, the triple D cappuccino, is going to go in quite all right. Although I like the idea, it was one that, once again, was heavily censored. You can see in some of the drawings, some of the concepts for this kill, it was supposed to be far more graphic, far more gruesome and creative, but they basically just see the Jason swipe, you see the close-ups on their faces, and then you see the headless bodies fall. Not that much there, not that exciting. So I think I'm going to have to actually scoot on past that one because I just don't think it was all that fun and exciting. Then Martin, the local drunk. To be honest, it's another one that I kind of chuckle at, but I think I'll put it in good as gold because I might have to put it slightly lower. I do like the implications where he's talking to the bottle like, oh, you're going to kill me someday or whatever. And then it actually is the bottle. Jason catches the bottle that he throws away, smashes it. You don't really see the stab. You only kind of see the aftermath. So that's why I think I have to bump it down to quite all right. If you actually got to see it, if it was a bit more graphic, I think there's a damn good chance it could have ended up higher. But where you don't actually see what goes down, I feel like I can't justify putting it in good as gold with some of the other ones that I actually really do enjoy. This next one, this random couple that's just there to service as more, they're just cannon fodder, more bodies for the count. I'm also going to put them, actually I might even put them lower because it's another one of those where you don't really see much of it. They jump on his little moped or bike or whatever, Steve and Annette, and the spear just kind of goes through them. You get a little bit of blood from the mouths, the faces, but there's just some overacting. And for a movie that has such a goofy tone, this one, it just doesn't really hit for me. So I think Superman is pretty fitting for that one. Then we go to the next one, which is Nikki's face through the RV. And again, it cracks me up. I'm going to have to put it in good as gold. Again, these are ones that crack me up, so they're going to be in good as gold and a bit higher because they make me laugh. Like, this isn't a scale on how gruesome they are, how bloody they are. I'm not doing them, like, this list isn't based off anything but my own personal enjoyment. This one always cracks me up because it makes no sense at all, and it makes me laugh my ass off every time. So, of course, I'm going to put it up a bit higher because, like, I enjoy it. Next one is her homeboy, Court, and I'm hoping you can see my placement of him. Not sure how great I'm just trying to occasionally check to see if my face is blocking any of the tier list, but I think we're good for now. Court's, although the kill itself isn't that graphic, the knife to the side of the head, it's what follows that I love, because it ends up with this wicked, all-in-camera, amazing RV stunt where the RV flips and crashes, and it's awesome. So for that alone, it's going to get a bit higher up, because I love it, and I said so. Next up is the glasses wearing Roy, I believe, and I'll put it not in Superman, because even though he's killed off screen, it's another one that's a bit funnier, a bit goofier. They find him later, what's left of him. It's just a few limbs, and the bloody pair of glasses is what seals the deal for me. So I'll put him a little bit higher, just because you find the glasses, and that's pretty chuckle-worthy. Sissy, I'm actually putting a bit higher too. I'll put her in good as gold. It's a mix of everything. She gets dragged through the window, so it's another window smash pull one, but she gets dragged through the window. Her slippers, her like bunny slippers get left behind, and then it's the head twist and pull off that gets me. I kind of like it. It's like when you're taking off like a child-proof top to like some Tylenol or something like that. So that one kind of cracks me up. So I will leave that one where it is. The next one is pretty underwhelming. Basically, she just gets dragged into the cabin. You see blood splatter hit the window, then she gets thrown through the window and then kind of pulled back in. So it's not all that exciting. The blood splatter looks pretty good and everything like that. Like, you can assume that it's fairly graphic, but it's not all that exciting. So we're not going to put that one too much higher. The next one is one of the random officers. He just gets a dart to the head. It's not all that graphic. It's a dart. I've seen people take darts to the head and be fine. So, like, yeah, it would suck, but I don't know if it's going to kill you. And it's also not all that graphic. So we're going to leave that one where it is in the Superman tier. That one's filling up a little bit more now. And then we have the other officer. I'm trying to remember. Oh, it's another head crush. Because it's a head crush, on principle almost, I have to put it a bit higher than rock bottom, even if it's like one of the least graphic, if not the least graphic head crush, because even the one with the eyeball, at least they had the creativity to have the eyeball go in 3D, but the head crush here, you get some of the sound and stuff, but you just don't get some of the gory aftermath, or you get to see like anything really besides the sound effect and slight squeezing. So I'm going to put that one a bit lower. And then the last one of this movie is Officer Garrus, and I honestly think I'm going to put this one at the top because it's another one that I love. You're getting the black and white one because it's the best version that I could get that actually shows the folded in half body. This one cracks me up. Like, I actually think he's a decent character overall. Like, this movie actually has actors that lean into the comedy, but also know when to play it a bit more straight-faced. And this guy was probably the best of them besides Tommy Jarvis, Tom Matthews himself. But I love this kill. I love that he's getting the one-up on Jason. He has, like, he's beating him down. He's got him on the ground. He gets the rock. He's trying to bash his head in, and then he just gets folded in half, and that's all done in camera. They did it practically with, like, they cut a hole or whatever, and they had the actor at the top just standing in it and leaning backwards, and they had another guy who was, like, head first and just had his legs kicking and stuff like that. It's hilarious, but it's also pretty gruesome and a terrible way to go. Can you imagine just being folded in half just by straight manpower of an undead killer? Like, you know what I mean? Like the one that you see later in Freddy vs. Jason with the bed, like the bed doing it. Pretty terrifying, but it can happen. Maybe not with one of those beds, but like just straight up being forcefully folded in half is terrifying, and it's awesome, and it's kind of hilarious based on the tone of the movie. But that one there is our last one for Friday 6. So again, we're making good time. We're staying around 7, 8 to 10 minutes max per movie. We're chugging through this pretty good. So that was another one that had, how many kills is 15 kills again in this movie. And we're moving on to part 7, The New Blood. This one is a bit of a different one because we follow a lead character that has telekinesis, a very Carrie-like character. Like the first and only time in the franchise for obvious reasons. I don't think this is a terrible movie. It's got a decently high body count with 16 total kills, but like many of these movies, it was just butchered by the MPAA. There's so many kills where like they were needlessly cut down. Like some of them were just like 5 seconds longer. It lingered on the impact a little bit longer or things like that. And then for whatever reason, they just decided to, be like, nope, can't do that, can't do this, can't do that, can't do this. And then, a lot of them got chopped down quite a bit. So we're starting off with the father's death, John Shepherd, and let's not lie to each other here. This is definitely a rock bottom kill/death. Essentially, our main character has a little bit of a tantrum. She uses her carry abilities to shake the dock that her father's standing on, and I guess he couldn't swim and he just kind of drowns in Crystal Lake, and that's really it. He kind of comes back like a zombie ghost guy late in the movie. It's not all that exciting, not all that interesting. Once again, too, you'll notice that some of these squares are out of order because just the way that this friggin' tier maker decided to the way it decided to list everything and read the files. So we're a little all over the place, but I believe this next one, Jane, should be in order. Essentially, she is killed off screen, and then she is later found stabbed through the neck and pinned to a tree. It's fine. It's another one of those found later, but it doesn't really have anything all that memorable about it. Essentially, you find her, she's got like a little stab against the tree, and it's not all that exciting. So we're going to go ahead and put her in super meh. And you might have noticed too, I just took a brief glance at my other monitor and noticed that the tier list had gotten so big and so blown out that you couldn't see a lot of it anymore, so I had to shrink it a little bit. So no, you're not hallucinating. It's great that Jason was able to show his marksmanship, but overall, it's a pretty lackluster kill. We don't really see, again, I base these based on like enjoyment, creativity, how much, blood and gore and the makeup effects and stuff like that. So when you get something that's not all that interesting, I'm not going to have it very high up. Alright, I believe it's this guy carrying the logs here, so we'll move him around. I actually remember being a little bit better. It's, again, not super graphic or anything like that. He gets the hand put through his back and then a quick neck snap. So although it's not like one of the craziest ones, I think it's fine belonging in this quite alright here, looking at what he's paired up against. After that, I actually love this kill. This is one of my favorites, and I know Kane Hodder, who is probably the most well-known Jason actor, said this was one of his favorites, and it's simple and sweet but effective, and I love it. So it's when Judy dies, She's trapped in the sleeping bag, and although it was supposed to be way more graphic, again, if you watch the behind the scenes stuff or the kill counts and everything, you know that she was supposed to be in the sleeping bag, smashed against the tree many, many times, but at the end of a long shoot, Kane Hodder had one left in him swinging around this heavy sleeping bag. He just slams it once, and that's all that made it into the movie, but it just works so well for the character, and I love the way that they did it. This next one is, I think his name is Russell. I'll put this also in quite alright. This is just getting filled very quickly. Essentially, it's like a golf swing. The axe golf swings into the character's face, but you don't see the impact or anything like that, and you see him later, like, get to appreciate the makeup from a distance. Again, footage was cut where it was supposed to go in much closer and show it in much more graphic detail, but MPAA put the hammer down and they had to cut out quite a bit of it. This one, the kill of his girlfriend or whoever he's with, Sandra, it's fine. It's like a direct, I don't know if I want to call it callback or parody or anything, but it's essentially the opening of Jaws where Jason is magically in the water and pulls her underneath and drowns, so it's not all that exciting. Maddie, this next one, I'm also going to put in super meh. It could have been a good kill because, as we'll see in later Friday movies or Jason kills, there can be some pretty sweet stuff done with sickles, but the fact that it, you know, insinuates what's going to happen and there's all the buildup, but you don't actually get to see the sickle do any real work or any damage, it's kind of a letdown. It could have been much, much better. The next is a good old-fashioned Jason head crush, only this time, again, it's just really, really watered down. I'll put it in here just because I do love the iconic Jason head crush kills. I've been going at this for a long time, so my brain is kind of mush already. It's like I've had a Jason head crush. But again, this one, there's minimal blood, there's minimal, like, the sound effects are fine, but compared to some of the other head crush ones, I can't justify putting it any higher. The next one is the party horn one, and believe it or not, I'm actually putting this in good as gold. Although, again, it was another one where it was, like, needlessly cut down. You could have seen an extra 5 seconds with the party horn in her eye, but you know what? It's funny, it's comical, it's almost like it's a little bit of lingering attitude coming off of Jason Lives, where it's a bit more comical, taking itself a little less seriously, so I did enjoy that, although I wish they stuck with it a little bit longer. Next is the character, I believe his name was David, and this one isn't all that interesting either. He just gets stabbed in the stomach by Jason, and then at least he's later found decapitated, but it's like, when you're not seeing any of the fun stuff, it's not all that fun. This is another one here, the character, who I think this is the guy that in the kill count they said actually did the voice of Johnny Bravo and stuff, which I think is pretty sick. Love Johnny Bravo. But on principle, I'll put it in quite alright after I stop freaking with apparently. I like the machete to like the neck, shoulder area, but again, it's super bloodless, and it's another one of the kills where it's like I'd almost rather not have the information at how awesome it could have been, because it ended up not being awesome at all for how much they had to chop out of it. And then we have Amanda, who is, or no, sorry, we have Robin next. Robin is thrown out of the window, but the thing with hers is that it's not even remotely exciting. I'm actually putting this in rock bottom because it's probably the worst of the out the window kills, because we're like the other one with Tina or Terry, or whichever one it was, that got thrown out the window and had the awesome car stunt where it crushes the top of the car. She just gets thrown out of the window and hits the grass, like just hits the ground, and then we're just like, oh, I guess she's dead, and that's pretty much all we get from it. Next is Amanda Shepherd, who gets stabbed through the back, out the tum-tum. Again, I love the idea of this one, but the execution is very, very, I'll put it here just because, again, I like how they do it, but the execution, again, it was cut down. The image I used is like a behind the scenes image where there actually was a lot of blood, and there, you know, the actress got to act and be killed in a Friday the 13th movie, which according to her was like the most fun part of shooting the movie. But then the MPAA again just clamped down on it, and you just kind of get the insinuation of like, oh, he's going to stab her, and then you get a bit of blood splatter on another dude's face, but like nothing really beyond that. And then you get that doctor who's like, you know, he has like a heel turn, he gets to be a villain. But honestly, I'm gonna put this one in rock bottom for how insulting it is, because he was a very dickish character. You wanted to see him die. Even Kane Hodder was saying this guy is like an asshole, I want to give him like a gruesome death kind of thing in the movie. And then it was trimmed down so much that it is by far like the tamest weed whacker kill you'll ever see in a horror movie. Almost nothing happens. And then the last one for this movie was Melissa's. And you know what? I'm honestly putting her in good as gold just for that incredible stunt work where her lifeless body as a stunt double, after getting the axe to the face, she gets thrown and just like, I love the way that stunt double just gave their body to the flail crashing over the TV and everything. I think that stuff is pretty excellent. Part 8 is a big one where there's some people that aren't going to be counted. For instance, there was 4 random students that were like in the restaurant, and then we get a line later that's like, oh, there is no restaurant, but like we never see them again, we never hear from them, we don't even find their bodies, we're just left to assume that they died. And then of course there was the students that got counted, that there was like 18 other students in some of the initial shots of like the party boat and stuff like that, but those aren't kills, so they're not getting counted on this list today. The first one though is, I think his name is Jim. He gets the harpoon gun gut stab. It's not that bad. It's another one of these like quite all right ones where it could have been better. They could have showed a bit more. You get the close up on the stomach, and then you get to see the harpoon gun a little bit later. It could have been more graphic, could have been more gruesome, a little bit more fun, which sounds kind of deranged when I'm saying it's fun, but you know what I mean. It could have been a little bit more fun, a little bit more exciting, but instead it's fine. You don't get a whole lot out of it. Next up is his girlfriend, Susie, who got speared in the chest in a close up. It looks like it's kind of just stabbing a pillow, and the girl had like a million years to try and run away, and she didn't. After that, we have JJ, who gets the guitar smack to the head, and I don't hate this one, but again, it's kind of that first-person view where Jason, really more than anything, you know what, I'll put it in good as gold just because they went the extra mile of having the blood on the camera and the cracked lens. So I'll give a bit of extra props here. Then we have the sauna kill, who's the random boxing guy. To be honest, I don't hate this kill either, and if I feel like if I put JJ's there, I have to put this one up a bit higher, because like getting the sauna rock shoved into your stomach sounds so bloody painful, and even though it doesn't make any sense that his belly would set on fire and then afterwards it's like bloody and stuff like that, it's one of the ones that had to be reshot and changed, and so for what it ended up being, I actually don't dislike it. I don't think it's all that bad. Next is Tamara, who's like the popular hot girl of the movie, like that stereotypical one. The actress actually kind of sells it, and this is another one, and this is coming from someone who does not like Jason Takes Manhattan. In fact, I think this is a pretty shit movie, but it's got some halfway decent kills. So the glass shard, even though it's not, I'll put it a little bit lower because I kind of forgot that we don't really see anything. It's all just like we're supposed to get what's happening. We're supposed to fill in the blanks. She stabbed off screen the mirror shard at the actress, so I think it stays out of the bottom too, even though nothing gets shown, just because the actress actually does a really good job, and I think the build up to the kill is pretty darn good. This is another one that is Jim. He's like the first officer or whatever. Where's it here with the green one that I tried to get the best picture of it I possibly could. It's another, like, I don't want to say, because it's not off camera, it's in camera, but it's bloodless and you don't really see much, but I do like that we're looking through this like rainy, I can't go any higher because I don't think it belongs with any of those actually kind of cool ones up top, but we're looking through the rainy window into like this greenish room and everything like that, and you get in the like the lightning and the storm and everything, so like it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And then we have the man himself, Admiral Robinson, and this one is pretty bad. Let's not lie to ourselves here. It's a throat slit with another obvious wrong side of the machete, and then he sits for so long, and only when he tilts his head back do you see a little bit of the parting of the prosthetic. There's no blood or anything like that. So overall, it's a pretty lackluster one. Now I gotta try to find Eva's, because here she is next. I actually like this one to the point that I'm going to put it there for one, the stunt work, and two, just like the sheer brutality of it. Like, it's a pretty graphic kill, all things considered. Like, she gets choked, she's up there for a long time, and then she gets slammed to the ground, and it's pretty hardcore. So I got to hand it to the stunt double for taking such a hard fall on that one. The next one is one that Wayne was recording. This one, it's just like I don't mind it. I don't think it goes in the bottom tier, but essentially one of the characters, Wayne, he can't see after getting like steam to the face or his glasses knocked off or whatever, and he accidentally shoots a random crewmate, but I like the creativity behind it, like the setup. He shoots the random guy. We see it through the black and white camera lens and everything, but, you know, it's not one of the better ones. Then we have Wayne himself, who gets one of the better, I don't know if it's my favorite, but one of the better electrical panel / control panel kills, where he gets thrown in, we get some sparks, and then we get an obvious dummy, but at least, you know, they set him on fire afterwards and stuff like that. So it makes it a little more interesting. And then we get Miles, where I actually like this one because he's climbing the ladder. Jason, obvious teleportation, throws him off the ladder, and he lands on whatever this is, the weather prongs or something like that. That ended up, you know, you get this cool shot where he's sideways and there's like 1 or 2 or 3 that go up through his side. So I think that one's actually moderately creative and kind of cool. Once again, though, we are not counting the 4 random students who, if you watch the kill count, I'm just going by the order they were shown, the 4 random students that, yeah, we saw Jason looking through the porthole, but, like, we never see their bodies. They're unnamed characters. There's never anything confirmed because they either drowned because there's no restaurant or Jason killed them or what. We don't know. Not enough detail. I'm not counting them. And then the other students, I'm not counting either. The creepy deckhand guy, I believe, is next, and his is another one that's like, it's fine. He stumbles towards them, falls, he's got an axe in his back. Ooh, cool. Yeah, it's not actually that cool. The junkie, I'm actually gonna put him in rock bottom because he is a slimy dirtbag. You know, he was on his way to committing some very extreme sexual assault against one of our main characters, and then all he gets is a syringe in the back, and that kind of kills him. And then the guy next to him too, he's the other junkie dude, and all he does is get his, you know, his head slammed into a pipe. And again, a lot of these are just kind of assuming because we're watching a slasher that these guys are dead, but like a syringe to the back and your head hitting the pipe is likely not going to kill you, at least not the way that they're done in this movie. You might get like Hep C or something from the dirty needle. That's the best of it. But this next one, though, is going to be our first entry in a long time, going up into godlike. Juliet's getting his head punched clean off is, again, it just feels like it's a remnant from the previous movies, or at least Jason Lives, where the actor is really genuinely tired. He is throwing hands with Jason, punching him, beating him. Probably one of the best to ever actually go toe-to-toe with Jason and get close to at least doing something. And then just one punch, head goes clean off into the dumpster and everything like that. It's hilarious and absolutely deserves its place at the very top. The next one, this police officer, random no-name guy, dragged into an alley, killed off screen. Nope. This next one, car explosion, random character, other teacher or whatever she was, you know, doesn't get out of the car, I guess, with the rest of them. Killed in the explosion. Not all that exciting. The sewage barrel one, it's okay. The character was an asshole, so I kind of like seeing him drowned in sewage, and they put like that fake dead rat in there, and it's like, you know, it's kind of gross, kind of nasty, so deserved. I'll put it in quite all right, so it's kind of teetering in that midsection of the list. And this next one, James only counted as a kill. I don't know, just because, for funsies, for shits and giggles. I doubt being thrown against a mirror is going to kill you, especially when you're a guy that large. But you know what? Because he counted it, I'm going to count it too. And this next one, I think the use of the shadows is kind of neat, so I'll put that one in there. It's this random sanitation worker getting wrenched to the head, and then we of course see the blood splatter on the wall. Not all that exciting, but you know, I think it's a bit better than rock bottom. Then we're officially moving on to part 9, or what's just plainly titled Jason Goes to Hell. The first kill we're going to count is Jason himself, and although it's like, do you count him, do you not? Technically, this physical version of Jason does die here, like James Agenese says in the kill count. He literally blows up. He blows up into like little tiny pieces. So I think by default, I have to count this as a death. And I'm not going to lie, aside from the stupid grunts, it's awesome with the practical effects, with the squibs and stuff like that, and the hits, and then the explosion. It's pretty awesome. Let's be real here. It's quite awesome. Then we have this other like assistant coroner, whatever his name is. And I don't even know if he has a name, actually. He might just be assistant coroner. I don't like that it cuts away before we see the saw actually get to do anything, but his face kind of pushing through the grate and being all swishy and stuff like that. Squishy, I don't know which one I just said. Squishy is what I'm trying to say. it's kind of awesome. So I'm going to put that in quite all right. Not quite down the bottom, even though it's not as graphic as it could be. The next one, I'm putting this in rock bottom. It makes me really sad because one of these guards, the guy on the right, is Kane Hodder, the guy who plays Jason. And then the fact that he barely actually got to play Jason in the movie because of the whole soul swapping bullshit, whether it's soul or slug or whatever it is. But the fact that they're just kind of killed off screen, and then we just see their bodies in like news footage and stuff like that. So it's quite a bit of a bummer that, you know, having Kane Hodder in the movie playing a security guard, since he wasn't playing Jason very much, and then not even giving him a memorable death feels like a massive slap in the face. So next is Alexis, is this character's name. She's slashed by a scalpel, and then her body is seen later against a tree. I kind of like seeing, I feel like because it has at least a little bit to offer, I can't put it in rock bottom. That's reserved for the worst of the worst. But this next one, Deborah is her name. I believe it's Deborah. That's going straight in godlike. How could it possibly not? Especially the one that I'm counting, the director's cut one, getting the fence pole cut like through the back and then cut in half. Oh my god, it's amazing. It's an all-timer for sure. Very good contender for that top spot, dare I say, because it is a damn good one. And then her man Luke is killed off screen, so he's also going to end up in the bottom tier because he doesn't really offer me very much there. Then we have Edna, who gets her head crushed. I think it's kind of all right. Like, we didn't get many of those head crush kills, and obviously, like, some of the best head crush kills are like in the Walking Dead show with some of the walkers, and nice and juicy and gushy and all gross and disgusting. But hers, it just looks like an obvious pillow getting slammed in a car door, so it's not all that interesting, and they don't even have very good special effects or anything like that to go with it to make it even remotely interesting. After that, we have this very close-up one of, these ones are all ending up in the bottom here. I will say, Jason Goes to Hell, it's funny because it's like half the kills are like all-timers, some of the best, and the other half are like some of the worst and most underwhelming. Coroner Phil, I believe his name was, he's the first Jason host to die, and all he does is essentially just make out with someone else's body and transfer the Jason slug, and then he kind of just dies. Like, he doesn't even get a cool death. So yeah, he's gonna be pretty low. All right, we have Diana here. She just kind of like, for such an important, quote unquote important, if you can count any character as important in this movie, character to get like whatever it was. I think it was supposed to be like a knife sharpener or something like that, thrown into her back, and then this guy comes in, saves the day, and then she kind of just dies slowly in his arms. It's not all that exciting. It's actually pretty lackluster for a character who was supposed to be important. But after that, ladies and gentlemen, after that, we get another all-timer. Especially, I believe in the director's cut, it's a little bit more graphic, but even in the theatrical, they left a lot of shit in here. And it's this random deputy dude. I don't even know if his name is like Deputy Josh or something. Anyway, it's another stupid Jason slug soul transfer thing. But the fact that he melts and you get some very awesome, like, again, David Cronenberg-esque, like, melt the effects with the jaw being left on the floor and stuff like that. That shit is awesome, and it is definitely going up into that god-like tier. Again, like I said, the duality of Jason Goes to Hell. It's like you get some of the worst, like this next one, which is just a head slammed against a locker in the distance. Some of the worst, but then you get some of the best in the franchise. This, I think the next one is the two officers. I'll put it because I like, even though it's a quick cut, the makeup effects. And it's a twofer where they get their heads slammed together so hard that they die. And then although we don't get a ton from it, we do get to see their faces and they're kind of like, you know, the skin's gone and stuff like that. So they at least try to do something is what I'm trying to say, okay? I'm trying to give a little bit of props here for the makeup work and everything like that. The next one is Ward. His actual death isn't that great, but I'll put it a bit higher because I like the nasty, like, sorry, I didn't mean to go over there again. The nasty arm snap where you see the, like, the wrist or the forearm snap and the bone comes out and stuff like that. I really wish they did something cool with that afterwards. But then instead we just cut to back into the diner and he kind of just hits the door. So it's not all that exciting. Next is Shelby, and honestly, it's a very gruesome way to go. So although it's not going to be up in like the top because it's not extremely cool, getting your face or your entire head deep fried is a pretty shitty way to go. But we don't get to see it or appreciate it too much. We see the actor in what is supposed to be frying grease or oil or whatever, and then the body's kind of crisp and just kind of gets thrown to the side. This next one, where I believe her name is Joey. Anyway, some people don't like this effect. I actually like it. Yeah, it looks a little bit goofy. It looks almost like Tim Burton-esque. But look, getting elbowed so hard that the entire bottom half of your jaw like goes into your face, kind of sick, kind of awesome. So I'm going to put that one there. The next one is the other diner worker, Vicky. She tries to play hero, tries to stab the guy who's hosted Jason at that point, and then he basically just grabs her, squeezes her, hugs her, and then she also gets impaled. And then following that, we get this random diner patron who, if you watch the theatrical cut, is basically just found later. Both of them kind of suck. He's either found later, or if you watch the director's cut, he is shot by accident by, I can't remember if it's Joey or Vicky, tries to shoot the guy whose body Jason is controlling, is what I'm trying to say, and he kind of just, you see him flail in the background. Don't know why that had to be cut. It's not all that graphic or anything. Then we have the next guy who was host to Jason, and once again, I hate these Jason transfers, except for the melty one, which is in Godlike, because essentially all that happens is that he jumps at the camera, and then that's the last we kind of see of him. The next one is this like sheriff or constable or whatever the hell his name is. It's another boring kill. He accidentally, like, we're led to believe that he might be the one who's Jason right now, but then all that happens is that he kind of just impales himself on the special dagger. It's not all that exciting. The next one I actually don't mind. This officer that was actually holding Jason, holding onto Jason's slug thing. I like that he gets his head almost fully cut off, and then you get to see the prosthetic body wriggling around as like the Jason slug monster thing crawls out. It's weird. It's a little bit nasty. So I'll give it a little bit higher. This next one is controversial, don't get me wrong. Not only is it going to be low, maybe I'll put it up in quite alright actually. Not only is it going to be a bit lower, but it's controversial because the director of Jason Goes to Hell said back in like 2018 or 19 or 2021 or something that Creighton Duke didn't die here, and there was supposed to be a Creighton Duke spinoff series, but I call bullshit on all of the above. We're never getting a Creighton Duke series ever. With all the right stuff being tossed around, and we know we're getting a Crystal Lake series and stuff like that now, and there's this like Jason universe or whatever. The Creighton Duke series is not happening. It's never gonna happen, and this guy is dead. Watch the movie. He gets bear hugged to death, and then the character does the last breath thing and everything like that. Like, he is dead. I am counting him. I don't care what is said. He is dead. He is going on the list. That's where some of the variation is coming in. You can yell at me all you want. Creighton Duke is dead. You heard it here first, folks. And then again, Jason dies a second time, and yes, I'm counting Jason again because James counted Jason again, and yeah, technically Jason does die here, at least in this version's canon, except it just looks kind of goofy. The first death was way cooler, and this time he just gets dragged down and under by some like giant Muppet-looking goofy hands. But he does go to hell, so I'm counting that version as dead because that version was technically reborn. He was reborn through a Voorhees because, you know, reasons. And then he gets dragged down to hell. So I'm counting him as dead again. And we're moving on to Jason X. The first one, Jason somehow escapes. We find the guy's body. We don't see Jason's escape. We don't see anything. We just find this guy's body. He's got a chain around him and a bit of blood. The next one, I'm actually putting a bit higher. Again, pushing them together because there's no need to count these 4 guards as 4 separate people when they all basically died of the same thing. But these 4 security guards, 2 of them get absolutely whacked in the head, and the stunt work and the smoke and everything like that off of them is fantastic. The guy used as a bullet shield, not as exciting. And then the last guy, not as exciting either, with the neck break and everything like that. But it's at least a little more believable than some of them, like the buddy in Party getting thrown against a mirror and stuff like that. So I'll put that one a bit higher. Then we have actual David Cronenberg getting killed as he gets impaled through the back and out the front by like a spear of some sort. He wanted to go out. He said he would only do the movie if he got to go out. He didn't go out in the coolest possible way, but you know what? It's David Cronenberg actually appearing in a Friday the 13th movie. So I'm gonna show him a little bit of love, and then we're gonna have him a tiny bit higher than where a kill like that probably belongs. Next is Sergeant Marcus, and this guy just kind of gets thrown through a door. It's another super lackluster kill. This is another one of those movies where it's like half the kills you're going to see at the bottom. The other half are definitely going to be in the higher ups because the next one is again a major contender for that top spot. It's the liquid nitrogen kill. Even though Mythbusters did debunk it, it is total bullshit. It would not happen. It's still awesome, okay? It's awesome. Whether it's like the way that the makeup is done when she's in the liquid nitrogen or the face smash afterwards, it's sick, it's twisted, and it's fan-freaking-tastic. The next one is our boy Stoney, Post Malone, except not actually, but his name is Stoney in the movie. Gets stabbed through the back, out the front, kind of dragged off. I'm sorry, this Quite Alright one's being populated, but if you look, it literally is all the mid-tier kills. It's not the ones that are just good enough to end up because they got something a little bit special to them. They're the very, just like, they're not bad, but they're not quite good. They're quite alright. That's the purpose of that tier. They have some merits, but you see the vision. You see how it could have been so much better or so much cooler if it wasn't cut down quite as much or whatever. If they went just that extra step further, but they didn't really bother to. The next one is Azrael, and I kind of like how James mentioned in the kill count that this very possibly could be a reference to the Batman comics where Bane breaks his back. So it's kind of like the bear hug one with Creighton Duke or Duke and Creighton or whatever the hell his name is. So I'll put that one also. Again, sorry, ain't quite alright. That's just a very populated list right now. The next one, head slam against the wall. Not all that graphic, but there is a bit of blood. So I don't think it belongs in rock bottom. The one after that, I'm just trying to even see the image, so I do apologize. I think this is the one that's, yeah, it's a top-down shot, that's why. It's Sven, he's dragged into the hallway, neck snap. Boring. On to the next one. Condor, I believe this is the drill one. Yeah, you know what? I love the pun that comes after it. I'm putting this one in good as gold, actually. I actually like this one. Though puts up a decent fight against Jason. He gets knocked off. He gets literally skewered. And then you just kind of see the body spinning around. And it's kind of awesome. And then you have the shitty pun later on that like, oh yeah, he's screwed. It's a shitty pun. But you know what? Shitty puns land with me. So I'm putting that one a bit higher. Next is Gecko, and we get an off-screen throat slit, and she kind of stumbles around later, but overall, mostly boring. Then we get, I think this is the one where Kicker is his name, of all things. I feel like, again, it belongs in Quite Alright, because I could put it in Superman, because we don't really see him getting cut in half, but we do see him later on crawling in half, and it's pretty well done, so I feel like it has those merits where it just kind of ends up in that Quite Alright. And then we get this other random soldier. I'll put it in Superman because it's kind of cool that she's like impaled by like a space anchor or something like that. But overall, fairly boring kill. Then we have Captain Lou, who gets killed off screen with a machete slash. We just get a bit of blood splatter on the monitor. Actually, compared to some of the other ones on here, the blood splatter on the monitor is actually a bit more creative than the way some of them get. This guy, the teacher, what the hell is his name? Professor Lowe. He's killed off screen, but we do see his decapitated head later. Jason's carrying it around, so we'll put that one a tiny bit higher. Crutch is another one. Face smashed into the circuit board. This is actually probably the best electrocution kill. I'll put it up there with among the better electrocution kills, because at least his head gets smashed a couple times, so it's a little bit more fun. I guess they do something with it. Then we have Kinsa, I think her name is. Yeah, she just flies the escape pod into the bottom of the ship and blows herself up. So, like, good for you, I guess, for sucking. This next one, this Jason kill, is actually another fantastic Jason kill. And again, yes, he is technically dead here, and he gets revived by, like, the nanobots or whatever. But, again, yeah, Jason getting killed, kind of been there, done that. But this one's kind of cool because like he gets his arm shot off, he gets his leg shot off, then he gets half his head shot off and stuff like that. And then of course it leads to us getting Uber Jason, who is admittedly pretty awesome. Wayfinder, Waylander, Way something or another. I mean, noble job, dude, sacrificing yourself and everything like that, but like, my apologies, the list had to be shrunk once again because there are so many. Thankfully, you can see the bottom, folks. We can see the bottom of the list, so we probably shouldn't have to shrink it again. Maybe at the end I'll do like a slow crawl so you can get a full view of the list and where everything is. But we're going to continue through Jason X right now. We have our next character, Janessa, who gets sucked through a metal grate, but not much is shown. She gets sucked towards it, and then we just kind of see some like fake-looking, plasticky, fleshy shit. For a kill that could have been pretty awesome, it's super lackluster. So Superman. It makes sense. Superman's super lackluster. As a nod to the earlier Jason kill that Kane Hodder loved with the sleeping bag smashed against the tree, we get 2 virtual girls. Yes, they were counted as kills, so I'm going to count them here just like the Dream People at the start of part 5 or whatever it is. The 2 virtual girls getting slammed together in the sleeping bags. And because it makes me laugh, and because I think the whole sequence is pretty goofy and pretty funny, I'm going to show that one a bit of extra love. And then we have our very last kill of Jason X, where Sergeant Brodsky sacrifices himself, burning up in Earth 2's atmosphere, taking Uber Jason with him. But notice how we didn't count Uber Jason again, because may or may not be still kicking. But the fact that, you know what, he sacrificed himself and we actually got to see him, as shitty as it looked, burning up in the atmosphere and stuff like that, we're going to give him a bit of love and put him in that quite all right tier. And that does it for Jason X. So we are another one down, folks. Again, look at this beautiful list. It is a big one, but we're still chugging along. Looks like we might have maybe a max of 26 more kills / deaths to get through. And another note on Jason X again. Like I said earlier in the video, I'm not counting everything because it just doesn't feel right to count the space station explosion, which I believe the best of the best, James A. Janice, he added like 68 kills or something like that to the kill count. Some ridiculous number. I'm not counting them because no, they're not real characters. You don't see them. There's no aftermath. There's no bodies. A space station blows up. If we wanted to, we could have said there was 30,000 people on that space station, and I could have counted 30,000 other kills that all had the same picture of just the space station. So we're not doing that. We're not counting that one at all. The ones that I just counted for Jason X are the ones that Jason X is going to get. All right, and now we've moved on to our last few. We have Freddy versus Jason, where I will only be counting the Jason kills. Of course, in a lot of rankings, including my own, people have counted Freddy versus Jason in the Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street lists. But for the sake of simplicity, for the sake of today's video, it makes more sense for me to only count Jason's kills, because what would be the point of counting Freddy kills on a Friday the 13th list? So that's what we'll be using for the basis of this one. Then, of course, we have the 2009 remake / reboot, and then of course the 3 fan films that I mentioned earlier that I would be including in this list, just because if they were good enough to get kill counts and I was using the kill counts as the basis for all these other ones, why wouldn't I use it here too and just take advantage of having some really cool, well-made fan films featured on here as well. The very first kill of the movie, which is like a fake kill too, of course, it's the character Heather, which is really just Freddy trying to get Jason back in the game so that people will believe in him again. And I think I don't really know what I want to do with Heather's kill, because it is all just in Jason's head. But it kind of sets the tone pretty early on for how graphic the movie's gonna be. Now, you know what? Even Quite Alright has some halfway decent kills in it. This one's kind of just a basic stabbing, so I'll leave that one there. The next one, though, is Trey, and he's going right up in godlike. On top of him just being an insanely douchey character that you really, really, really want to see bite the dust, he not only does it in extremely graphic fashion with multiple stabs while he's on that foldable bed, but then that bed folds and he gets cracked in half, and it is absolutely spectacular. The next one we'll put in, it's a pretty boring kill. He wakes up and his head's already chopped off. It's Blake's dad. And then Blake himself, same thing. Jason winds up, takes a swipe, some blood splatters on the window. Not all that exciting. Next is, I believe her name is Gib, or that's what they call her in the glow stick guy. Honestly, I think it's pretty bad, and the reason I'll put it in rock bottom is because the fact that this guy was in the middle of trying to, like, sexually assault an unconscious drunk girl, and then she, like, instead of him getting a really gruesome death like someone like that deserves, instead she also gets killed. So she's like paying the price too and stuff like that as her would-be assailant and everything. So I think it's kind of a shitty death. Next is actually the jock dude's neck twist, and honestly I'll put that in super mad because the effect looks really bad and it does not hold up at all. It's full CGI. They didn't even try to make it practically, and you can tell like the fake head or the CGI head and stuff like that. the visual effects just don't hold up in that shot at all. Then you have Shaq, but not Shaquille O'Neal. And I'll actually put this one in good as gold. I like that it's a flaming machete and he gets thrown all the way through his back, out his chest, and you get the little bit of blood spurt coming up and out there. So I think that one's actually not that terrible. And then we have the Ravers. There's like 8 Ravers, I think, that James A. Janice counted. I know he wasn't a big fan of them. I actually don't mind them because I love how over the top this movie is. Like, people get slashed and they're like, whoa, falling all over the place and spinning around in the blood tubes. It's not like a blood spray. It's like spurting out like... I always found that kind of funny and kind of entertaining, so I'll put that one a little bit higher than it probably deserves to be, given that they come in such quick succession. But the stunt work and the amount of work that went into this, like, rave/cornfield killings, actually kind of fun. The next one, Crush Door one. Jason's pounding on the door. We find the guy later with a puddle of blood under the door. Not all that exciting. Then we get to Deputy Stubbs. It's one of the better electrocution kills because I love how it's like secondhand electrocution. Jason slashes his machete into this control panel, then he grabs onto him. And I like that they actually did put in the effort of having some makeup on him to show that he's kind of crisped up a little bit and everything. I always found that kind of entertaining, kind of funny. This next one, I'm debating putting it in Godlike, but for right now, I'll put it in Awesome Sauce. It's, what the hell is this guy named? Freeberg or something like that? Freebug? Anyway, it's really, Freddy possesses his body and everything, but look, the chopping in half and the fact that they do so much of it in camera and did it practically, I absolutely adore. So there's a good chance that this could get bumped up to, you know what, I'm just going to do it now. I think this is a godlike Jason kill, even if the poor guy is possessed by Freddy and had no say in the matter. Whatever this Lenderman, something like that. I don't remember this guy's name very much. I don't know if it's as bad that he should go way down in Superman, but it's not a very good kill either. He ends up getting like smacked and impaled on like a shelf bracket or whatever, and then he kind of has a little moment with Kia, and then he kind of just dies against the tree, so it's fine. Kia's will go right next to his. Actually, you know what? I kind of always liked Kia's. It's stupid. It makes no sense. She gets hit by a machete, and she flies like 50 feet in the opposite direction and smacks against the tree, but the sound of the impacts, the way that she's going on before she gets hit and everything, and Freddy's reaction when he sees that Jason's behind her and she doesn't realize, all of that always really makes me chuckle because it's ridiculously over the top, defies any and all laws of physics. Like, it makes no sense at all, but it's hilarious, and it's always cracked me up. And that was actually the last Jason kill of Freddy vs. Jason. So we're going to move on to the 2009 remake/reboot. And the first one was a brief recap, another version of Mrs. Voorhees, Pamela getting her head chopped off. It's in a black and white flashback. I like that they included it, but because of the way that it's shot with the choppy slow-mo and stuff like that, and it's not the best black and white, so I'm actually going to put that a little bit lower because I don't find it's all that exciting. The next one is Wade. Jason rushes him and he's killed off screen. It's not all that exciting. The character was quite annoying, and then all we'd really do is find him later with like his ear ripped off and stuff like that. Not that great. Next, I think this one... It is, yeah, okay. I was trying to see if that is the sleeping bag. This is a fantastic, gruesome, terrifying kill. The only reason it doesn't end up in Godlike is because it's more so like a trap that Jason sets up. Like, he traps her in the sleeping bag, puts her above the fire, she roasts. It's a terrible, awful way to go out, but because it's not as crazy as some of my favorite, all-time favorite Jason kills, or Friday the 13th in general kills, I guess, I will put that one just in Awesome Sauce. The next one is What's-Her-Face's boyfriend, Mike. I actually will put this in good as gold because I like the whole sequence where he's trying to get away and Jason's coming up from under the floor and he gets him a couple times in like the legs and maybe the hands and stuff like that. The actual death of him being dragged under is obviously not all that satisfying, but I do like the build-up and I like the scene overall, so I will put that one a bit higher. I think this guy's name is Richie. I just know him as the dude from Superstore, which is a great show, by the way. His death, I will also, if I'm putting that last one in good as gold, I'm going to put this one in good as gold too, because the machete, like the bear trap was rough enough, but then Jason doing his full tilt, this is like full tilt Olympic sprinter Jason, and then he just runs and then just bam, machete, and then the boot to the face that takes the machete off. I actually really love that kill. You know what? I'm actually going to put that in awesome sauce because I find that one is really brutal and really showed the change in tone and how this was a much more serious and dirty and grimy and gruesome horror movie than we got with previous Friday the 13th / Jason movies. So I'll put that one a little bit higher. This next one, this weird, creepy dude who lost his virginity to a mannequin. It's fine. It's a throat slit. But the thing is, like, I feel like if the machete was swung that hard and that close and everything like that, it's not just going to give you, like, a little slit. So I always found that one to be a bit more unsatisfying. This one, Jason uses ranged weapons again. And to be honest, it's not an amazing kill, but it comes as a bit of a shock, right? Like, you don't think that Jason's going to get this guy way out on the boat. You think that the scene's going to play out and he might get killed later on. But the fact that he's at such a long-range distance, the sound it makes, the suddenness of it, his head jolting forward, then he kind of is just still there enough to kind of, like, look around and shock and everything. It's pretty disturbing overall and pretty graphic. And then his girl going right next to him. I actually think this kill's pretty great, and it does do a good job, you know, encapsulating a lot of what this series stands for. It's graphic deaths and female nudity. That's what a lot of the Friday the 13th movies are. That's their claim to fame. And I think it's just a great kill. Like, she swims away and she thinks she's safe and she's hiding under the dock, and just when she thinks the ghost is clear, she gets stabbed down in the top of the head and then pulled up against, and you get like the head hit and stuff like that, and the face, and then a little bit of the blood. It's just a really well choreographed, really well executed kill. So I think I'm actually going to put that one a bit higher too. Man, I'm realizing that like some of the best kills are actually in this Friday the 13th remake / reboot, because our boy Chewie also really liked this kill. Actually might put it in awesome sauce, even though it's just a simple screwdriver to the throat. The close-up and then the commitment of the actor, because like again with the behind-the-scenes stuff, he says that he purposefully like kind of let the fake blood like go down further into his throat so you could really get that like good gurgling effect and everything like that. And it just feels so painful and so intense that I feel like I have to put it up higher. Like, I feel like it really warrants being put up higher. There, buddy. Lawrence gets the axe to the back. This is another good one. The axe getting thrown to the back, catching him, and then Jason leaving him as bait, showing this is, again, a much more intelligent, like, hunter-stalker style Jason. And then when he realizes no one's coming, he just picks Buddy up, throws him on his back, and pushes the axe out through his chest. It's pretty messed up, and I actually like that one quite a bit. The next one, though, Bree isn't that great. Jason stalks her, gets up behind her, and puts her on, like, this antler coat hanger. It's not really all that exciting. This next one, also a great kill. Even though you don't see, like, super graphic detail when it happens, I like that the shot is almost like a transition shot where it's like Jason puts the fire poker or whatever it is through his eye, through his head, and then it like sweeps through into the house and you see it come through the other end into the house. That one is just good, clever filmmaking. It's very similar to the shot that the same director got in the 03 Texas Chainsaw movie where, you know, you get to follow the opening all the way out the back of the head and everything. It's kind of a similar vibe to that. Obviously, it's not as impressive as that, but it's a very similar vibe where you get the fire poker going through one end, out the other. And I've always kind of enjoyed that one. Another character named Trey, potentially the Trey from Transformers 2007. We'll see. He also gets a pretty gruesome graphic death that I like. I don't think it's quite on the level of some of these up higher ones. I would say it's on the higher echelon of The Good Is Gold, because it's pretty graphic. Again, he gets the machete through the back, out the front, and then he gets slammed on whatever this is, these hay balers or something like that, and then he's kind of, his limp body gets driven away on the back of this truck, and I've always found that to be kind of funny. And a character that was a total douche, so you're cool with it, you know, you're okay with him going. This one I was not okay with, though, and the first one that's actually going to make our Good As Gold list a little bit bigger is Hannah, is it Hannah Panabaker? Something Panabaker. I always forget her name. Danielle Panabaker, maybe? She did not deserve to go. Very much like is said in the kill count, and it's so true. This girl has Final Girl written all over her, and you think that, like, it's more likely that the sister's gonna die or that the brother's gonna die or something like that, and you think this girl's gonna make it to the end because she's a sweetheart, and, you know, she has this heart of gold, and she's with this douchey guy, and then she's like, you know what, I don't agree with this guy, I don't want to be with him, I don't like him, blah, blah, blah. And you think that she's, you know, she's a good person. You think that she's really going to make it. And then she just simply does not. The last one, another one going in good as gold. It's another Jason Voorhees kill. I actually like the setup with the chain. I like the stabbing, even though the line is not good at all. Say hi to mommy in hell or whatever it is, but like putting Jason's head at least partially into a wood chipper, the hanging being a reference to part 3, the stabbing in the chest with the machete, all of it kind of culminates in actually one of the better Jason kill we get. Now we're on to the fan films to wrap us up, and there's only a handful left. We have, what, maybe 12 kills, give or take, left to wrap us up. So this first one is Axel, who gets axed in the chest. If you're looking at just since it's shown twice, they die in Never Hike Alone and Never Hike Alone 2. Just like I did with some of these kills and having director's cuts and me saying, well, I'm going to reference the director's cut because it's the better kill. I'm referencing the ones from part 2 or just the sequel because they are more graphic. The sequel had a higher budget, was a longer movie and everything. So even still though, the axe to the chest, and then he kind of fumbles and stumbles into the back of the ambulance. So it's not all that exciting. Again, it gets more graphic, it's more well done, better shot, better lighting, and everything like that in Never Hike Alone 2. So you can count that as the first death or the second one. It's pretty much the same. And then Demi, I think is her name, or Denny. Hers, it's kind of weird because in the first one, she's mostly just getting slammed against the ambulance. And the second one, you kind of see her legs dangling a little bit. And then she hits the ground and stuff like that afterwards. So could have been a bit better, but yeah, it is what it is. This one is going right into awesome sauce. I could put it in godlike, but the fact that it's not an official Friday the 13th movie makes me feel like it shouldn't be necessarily on par with some of these like best of the best when it comes to Jason / Friday the 13th kills. But it's pretty damn graphic. I actually like the GoPro shot of like the axe going at the actor, and then the aftermath being so gruesome and like the mouth open and the makeup effects and everything they did. Pretty friggin' great. This next one with this officer, deputy, or whatever, it's very quick, it's very sudden. It's not my favorite in terms of like, I don't like when Jason just has these like jump scare kills. And obviously with the lower budget, it didn't look that amazing. But the fact that Jason rushes him and just instantly puts the shotgun up and this guy's head gets blown off doesn't look amazing, but I do like the suddenness of it and the attempted graphic nature of it. This guy, Gino for Never Hike Alone 2, which is now officially our last feature. Those last two were for Never Hike in the Snow. He gets a simple machete to the back of the head, but again, they do a little bit with it. It's a little bit more graphic, so it's not like bottom of the list worthy. It's his girlfriend or whoever he's with, Jamie. She gets macheted off screen, so we only really see the swing. And that, to me, cheap cop-out. Especially after some of the kills in this are actually relatively graphic. Then we get this one. It's just a backseat kill. I don't remember if it's an arrow through the back of the neck. Backseat kill. Michael Myers styled. I just don't know if it belongs in with some of these really shitty kills. So I'll put it in quite alright, which is, again, by far the most popular list. After that, we get to see this guy who Jason just shows up later with his head. It's not all that exciting. I guess since the exact same thing as Professor Lowe and Jason X, so I'll put him here because at least we get to see the decapitated head later on, but we don't actually see him die, and he's barely a character, so we'll leave him there. This first officer, I actually do like the body cam footage and how it's like they have the alarms going off in the hospital, so it's all red and hazy. This guy just kind of gets macheted in very quick succession. And then this other guy, though, slightly better, and we do see a bit of the aftermath, so I'll put him up in quite all right. You see Jason haul off, punch him through the stomach, and then you do get to see the aftermath, unlike you get to with the other guy, where you just kind of see him get macheted, and then he goes off screen. So I'll put him a bit higher. This next one is a Nurse Hobbs, and this is the way a sickle kill should be, disemboweled by a sickle in all of its gory, gruesome, grotesque, intestine-filled, it's just the way it should be. That's the way a sickle kill should play out, so I kind of do love that. The next one is this guy getting a sickle to the back, thrown into the back. It's okay, I guess, because I'm a sucker for sickle kills. That sounds like I'm saying I'm going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs or something like that, but I am a sucker for sickle kills, so I will put that one just a little bit higher, probably than it should be, since it's a simple backstabbing. This one also, I mean, wherever the laser go, you bang. He tries to go out like a badass on a high note, and it does not work in his favor, as Jason gets in a gnarly head smash. Just a single fist, I think, like a hammer fist, boom to the head. The way that they set up the makeup, though, and the prosthetic head and everything like that, it is gnarly, it is gruesome, it is kick-ass, and I love it. And then the last one is Jason being decapitated. Tommy Jarvis, Tom Matthews returned, which I think is so awesome, so epic, and he gets his revenge with a head chopping decappuccino on this version of Jason, which a lot of people have dubbed Ghost Jason. And again, like with some of the other Jason kills, I think I will put that one right in the good as gold tier. So that's my list, folks. You're looking at it there. I'm just trying to make sure you can see the whole thing. I'll see if I can move my head around a little bit. Maybe I'll even just move myself off to the side here. So yeah, that's it. That is the full list. None of it is ranked yet, and then we'll go from there. We'll number it. I don't know how many are in there. Maybe I'll put numbers on it afterwards, but we'll work it as this first one where this guy is right now. This Axel, or whatever the hell his name is, this corner that I'm moving around, or where Crispin Glover is now, that'll be our number 1, and then we'll just do Snake, right? And then this very first one where Kevin Bacon is an awesome sauce, that would be your 12. Work your way down. So, all right, I hope you got a good look at the list, because I'm putting my giant head in the way again here. I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit. So again, take it all in. That was the list. You just had it a second ago. Pause it again if you need it. The time being, though, this is what we're looking at, and I'm going to do a ranking of the top 3 tiers. So let's zoom this in a little bit here, just so you can see everything that I'm seeing. All right, so again, we've blown up the image a little bit just so we can see everything very clearly, and I think I might actually start at the bottom, because I'm very intimidated by the top of this list, because I think I'm going to get a lot of flack for deeming one as the best Jason / Friday the 13th kill / death of all time. So I'm going to leave that till the end, keep you all in a bit of suspense, and we'll work our way through this list and down. So we'll go from the top. I think I'm just going to start moving them down. I feel like it's easiest to go from my least favorite to my favorite in terms of these ones. So that one definitely belongs a bit lower, even though it's an iconic, like, first movie kill. This one also low because it's an off-screen. Even if it's the most creative off-screen one, it definitely belongs a bit lower. I don't know what one would be my favorite, because there's such a variety. Like, we're going from some that were in the first movie to some that were in, like, the most recent Jason movie or Friday the 13th fan film, so it becomes a bit more difficult. I feel like this one could probably be the top of the list, because it's become a very, like, iconic Jason kill. Some of these are, like, goofier, right? They all have such different tones. Like, this one with the party horn, like, yeah, it's just a party horn kill, but it cracks me up. Like, it always makes me chuckle a little bit. But it's a pretty weak kill overall. And then you have some that are fan film kills, so you're like, what do I do with those? What do I count those as? Hers isn't that good. The garrote isn't that good. Hers is just okay. Hammer Claw. I just like Hammer Claw kills, so even if it's not that great of a kill. Kia's is ridiculous, but it always cracks me up. I do like this one a lot too, so this one's going to end up a bit higher as well. Again, with the transitioning shot, I think it's actually pretty well done. This is a simple car stunt, but I do like that quite a bit. This one with the guitar smash is a weaker kill too. Put that one down there. This one, I do like the idea of it actually all being in camera, so I'll put it slightly higher, but the fact that it was supposed to be more graphic and didn't end up being more graphic. Melissa's isn't actually that great of a kill, but the stunt double being tossed is what I really enjoy about it. This one of Ethel, I think is her name. Also, I like that they took the extra effort, just like the guitar one, to put the blood on the camera and everything, get that first person view. The Roy Burns one is fine. This one, even though it's an obvious dummy head, I do like that they showed it. This one I actually really like. The dummy head one, I like that it's shown in camera, but the fact that it is a dummy head and so obviously a dummy head makes me want to put it a bit lower. These two, the sleeping bags being smashed together, is more funny than anything, so I'll leave that one back there a little bit. The sauna rock, because it looks so painful, I'll put that one there. I'm trying to see what this kill even is. This one a bit lower too, because I honestly don't even remember what it is. Looking around, let's make this list. The knitting needle one also isn't that good, actually. This one too, with the pitchfork, is just fine. It coming out the back and everything. I don't even remember what this kill is with this officer dude, so I feel like I can't have it higher than ones that I actually enjoy when I don't even remember what it is, because it's obviously not that memorable. And I feel like the Ethel one too is actually going to go a bit lower. I'll put hers like just above the guitar one. Just above the guitar one. And this one here, the Panabaker one, actually a bit higher. This one, I just love the car stunt, but the actual kill itself isn't all that exciting. This one, I do like the motorcycle headshot, but the head looks really fake. So I'll probably put that one here. The Kia one, I like the build up. I'm trying to like look around and see what I like. So this one acts through the back pretty good, but I think Trey's is better than that. I do like the head shot here, and I do like this Jason death. It's probably the best of the Jason deaths. I'm not saying it's definitely going to stay there. I'm just saying I need to place it somewhere so my brain can figure out this list as best as it can. The headshot one is pretty good. The sickle one is pretty good. The decapitation one. I feel like those three in that order. I'd probably put the sickle one just a bit above. Arrow to the head, pretty friggin' good. I like the suddenness of it. Kia's isn't that good, but it's pretty funny. As funny as it can be. I'll put it probably a bit lower, actually. Then the machete through the back. It's a flaming machete, though, so it's pretty awesome. Jason being blown up here is pretty good. Jason being blown up there. The screwed one, I just kind of like the pun more than anything, so I'll put his like right there. A couple of these Jason deaths, though, are pretty good. This one, the latter one, I don't think it can be above some of these kills, like the headshot one and stuff like that, so I'll put that one there. And we'll take... This one, the kill itself isn't good, but the truck flip is actually pretty awesome, so I feel like I'll put that one right there, just because the RV stunt is pretty badass. So we'll give them props to that. And then the head one, I mean, that one, again, is just kind of a funnier one, so where do I want to put that? Probably, like, right here. The Roy Burns one. Let's see who's who here. I think this is the... Oh, this is Sissy. I think it's the head twist and pull off. I don't think it's quite as good as some of these ones. I think I'm going to put that one way down here, which some people are probably going to disagree with. Roy Burns one isn't actually... It's not the best of the Jason deaths. It's very similar to that one with Trey, so I'll probably... But it's not better than that stunt. Probably not better than Kia's. Actually, the Roy Burns one's getting knocked down a fair bit. I'll put it right here, just because it's a bit better than the weather antenna ones or whatever the hell it is. Than the Jason ones. I think I would probably put the Jason X one as a bit better. I feel like that's where I'm going to sit right now with Good as Gold. Again, I could look back on this list like right after I do it and be like, oh my god, you're such an idiot. Why in the world would you put them in that order? But that's what we're going with for right now. So we can now officially move into the awesome sauce tier. And again, it's like enjoyment versus... like iconography. It's, you know, the ones that are a bit funnier from like Jason Lives. So if I had to give one, I'll start off with that one. What is the best one that absolutely deserves to be at the top? It's probably the Kevin Bacon kill. If we're going by like all things considered, it's pretty graphic for a movie that came out in 1980. I'm surprised they got away with as much as they did. And the fact that it's Kevin Bacon and the fact that it's such an iconic kill that it's been riffed on time and time and time again, I feel like I need to put it just a tiny bit higher. But from there is when things get a little bit trickier, because obviously some of these are pretty friggin' brutal. I will put honestly, this head smash one is gnarly and pretty awesome, and so is the axe to the mouth one. Even though they're fan films, guys, they kick ass. If you want to take them out of your list, feel free, but they are great, 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 great kills. The roasting in a sleeping bag is horrifying. That's like one of the scariest thoughts one could possibly have. If we're looking at the bottom, though, the first really iconic head squeeze kill, Pamela's is probably the weakest, honestly, of the bunch. The single sleeping bag one's pretty good. That to the neck's pretty good. The one with Mark, I do like this one a lot. It's gimmicky. The 3D effect hasn't really necessarily held up the best, but it always does crack me up. I think I'll put this one there. I love how funny it is. I love how it's so in line with the tone of the movie, but it's not an amazing kill. Certainly, I'll probably put that one on last, because it's certainly not as iconic as the Pamela Voorhees one. Same thing with this one. I like the heart. I'll actually put that one in last place on this part. The heart being punched through. It does definitely set the tone for what the movie is going to be, but it's not an amazing kill or anything like that, so I'll put that one a bit lower. I do like Mark's. This one, the kill itself isn't amazing, but I do like finding him later. This head crush is pretty damn good. This sleeping bag one is good. The single slam. The head chop, I would say, is probably here just of how swift and brutal it is. The neck one, probably put in between the head crushes, and I think that would do it for our awesome sauce tier. And now, finally, the godlike tier. I will be crowning my top 10, essentially, with an extra one. Top 11 Friday the 13th / Jason Voorhees kills. Since this one isn't actually a Jason kill, I will put it in last. It was only up so high because the melting effects are just unbelievable, like some of the best I've ever seen. So I feel like that's the only reason that one's in there, but it's not an actual Friday the 13th / Jason kill. So I think that one has to be, I think I threw in an extra that there. That one has to be last, but from that point on, it gets ridiculously tough. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot that I did have a Jason death in here. I was saying all the Jason deaths were in good as gold and everything. Clearly, 202 kills / deaths has rotted my brain. I'll put this fold one. I do like the fold one a lot, but because it's the simplest of the fold ones, I do like Jason doing it, but I'll have to put it down there because it is just a simple fold and crack. After that, the head punch one. Actually, you know what? I think I like Julius's a bit better than the belt one, so I'll put the belt one there. The chop in half is damn good. The rest of these are so good. I feel like this head twist one isn't as good as these other ones. Because it's a Jason death, I don't feel like I should put it in the top 5, so I'll put it there because, again, it's so good though. The makeup effects, the animatronic work, the head, like the hand first, then the head, then the sliding, and the effects team doing like the eyes and the face moving and stuff like that. And this was an official kill of Jason. Again, we had Roy Burns in part 5, and then Jason had to be resurrected in part 6. So it wasn't actual, like, Jason's first official canon death. But the rest of these are so damn good. I think I have to put this one here. I'll leave the Freeberg one there, the head chop one there. Oh, guys, I feel like this might have to be number 1. I feel like the cryogen one has to be number 1. I'm going to look at it again. This is the only part of the list that I'm going to go through a second time because it's like this is me saying these are the best kills in Friday the 13th history. So let's see. So if I put the that one, the freezing one at first, it's so good. And this one chopped in half, folded in half. Hey Ted, where's the damn corkscrew? Freeberg, Jason death, head twist. Well, I feel like Julius's might be better than the head twist. And then the belt, the folding, and the melting. I think that's it, guys. I think that those are the best. I think that is my top 10/11 in the top half of the list. God, that's a tough one. But let's scroll down a little bit. We'll do the rock bottom tier just for shits and giggles so I can say what is the absolute by far worst kill in Friday the 13th history. This one is a pretty strong contender for number 1. But then you also have this one. The mirror throw. This guy stabs himself. This guy he does another one of the soul transfer ones. The soul transfer ones really do suck, except for the super melty one. I'm trying to see what everything is. I'm not trying to get up in your personal business by looking that close. It's just these are very all far away. The stab. What's the best one on this list? We'll start off with that because I don't even know anymore. Like, there's so many off-screen deaths and everything. This guy's head falling off is half decent. The door ones all suck. No Name Officer being grabbed and dragged off screen. Kane Hodder getting an off-screen death is a punch in the mouth. This guy gets killed off screen. This chick gets killed off screen. This is just a car explosion, so you don't even really see anything from that. The face transfer slug guys, these are probably some of the worst, where you just see them jump at the camera and that's it, and then you're just left to assume they die. This guy just gets tossed through a door, so it's an even worse door kill. Where the hell's the other one that dies from just the soul transfer? This one also sucks. This guy's body just gets found. This guy's off screen. This guy's off screen. This guy deserved way worse. I'm actually putting that down lower because he deserved to die way worse than he did. I don't know if it's as bad as the soul transfer ones, but it's pretty shit. Shelly not getting a more gruesome death is always sad to me. This creeper dude definitely could have gone worse than what he got. I don't know if it's as bad as these ones. This door crushed one also should be lower. No Name Guard gets door crushed. This guy with the tamest weed whacker kill, but because it's a weed whacker kill, it's probably automatically a bit higher up. This one, just the random screaming into the camera. Camera screaming at its finest. Actually, that one should definitely go lower because it's a named character. I can't even tell what the hell this is supposed to be. Oh, this is that pipe to the head. That one's pretty trash too, I'm not gonna lie to you. Can't even tell what that one is. Oh, that guy's just dragged off camera. His is like the same as the cop one. At least you can see the cop one, so I'll put that a little bit. The locker head smash from a distance, also a terrible, terrible kill slash death. This one, the syringe to the back. Definitely could have been way worse than it was. This guy's head just kind of falling off is not amazing. This guy getting stabbed in the gut off screen sucks. This guy falling into the water with the dock collapsing sucks. This guy just being found in the first movie sucks. At least this guy's head fell off, so we'll put him there. This guy's anything like the camera scream ones are terrible. This guy just kind of stabs himself. This one sucks. Sucks. At least we find her later with her throat slit. I can't even tell. This one's the diner patron. That's probably the worst. Let's not lie to ourselves. He just kind of gets found. And I only counted it because in the director's cut, you actually do see how he goes out. So I put it in there for that reason. This one was a window toss. Oops. Window toss, but it was fine. At least it wasn't a body that was just found. This guy just found. These just found kills really suck. This guy, see him later, just kind of found like that. We'll put him here. She is a just found kill. Throat slit. She just gets killed off screen with a camera scream because she's a pretty important character. The first control panel kill is fine. Feel like, again, Shelley deserved worse. I'd say those are the worst kills in Friday the 13th history. If I was to go through the list, again, they might change. They're different reasons. Some of them are just people screaming into the camera. Some of them are people getting stabbed off camera. Some of them are soul transfers. Some of them are leftover bodies. Some of them are disappointing cameos. One of them's a car explosion. And then some of them are like, did they even die? Buddy's head gets slammed into a pipe. This guy apparently drowned in Crystal Lake. This guy gets thrown into a mirror. This guy gets their head slammed against a locker. Like, do they all even die? I don't know. But, you know, they were counted on the kill count, so I decided to count them in here as well. And just in case you wanted to take a last look at the quite alright and super meh tiers, maybe I'll move these around a little bit just to say like what my favorite of these tiers are, just so at least there's a bit of a ranking to it, where I did promise you all a ranking every single one of them, so I can definitely put my least favorites down the bottom. This one I would say is one of my least favorite. The punch is not that good. The back break is not that good. I mean, these are all fine ones, the quite all right ones. They're all just okay. They're quite all right. This guy just gets found. So any of the just found kills aren't that great. This one was cut down and reduced heavily. Probably a bit better than the just found one. David Cronenberg definitely could have went out a bit better. This is probably the best here with the arrows of the just found ones. Let's see though, which one would I say is the best of them? The Gramps was another just found one, so I'll put his like down bottom. Just again, talking myself through this so I know what I'm doing here. Creighton Duke is a controversial one, so I don't want to put him too high. The Party Goers were all pretty dull kills too. Let's see. Quite a bit. I don't know what would even end up as the best of them in this one. Probably this, because this is like our first official throat slit one, so I think because of how iconic it is. I do like this one here. I feel like this one is a cheap knockoff of Kevin Bacon's death, so I'll put that one a little bit lower. The 3-person decapitation is pretty lackluster overall. I don't know if it's as bad as the Party Goers, the Ravers one, so we'll put that one over here. Looks like I'm apparently ranking these anyway, even though I said I probably wasn't going to. We might not rank every single one, but we're just trying to deduce which ones are the worst and which ones are the best. This one is a pretty weak one. It's like an outside kill, so there's like completely bloodless. The deep fryer kill is actually pretty messed up, and I actually always enjoyed this one. Even if some people find the Joey one to be a bit goofier, I actually always liked the Joey one. The Shelley's Dead one, pretty goofy. The Hansless. This one, it's funny, but holy shit, is it annoying to watch. The noise she makes is so bad. The sickle to the back, also pretty lackluster, even though I like sickle kills. This one with the punch through the camera. This is a simple machete to the back of the head, so this one's going to end up a bit lower. This one's from the back seat. Probably put this one a bit lower too. At least I like Sickles. Axel just gets a simple axe to the chest, so it's not even memorable for really any reason. This guy gets a simple throat slit. I'd say Breeze is a bit better than his. This guy is put back a little bit further. I can't even tell what half of these are here because of how dark they are. This one, like, his face is okay. Getting through the grate is pretty good. The bone snap, the kill itself, the bone snap in the arm is great, but the actual, you know, it's just fine. What would my favorite one be, though? That's the tough one, guys. I feel like these are the best ones. So if I had to do the quite alright list, that's where that would end up. The Superman list is going to be even harder. Maybe I'll just say what my least favorite and favorite of the bunch is. This guy just kind of gets found. Next. I don't know which one would even be the best of the bunch because they are all very Superman. Like, they have one thing or another to them that makes them okay, but overall they are not that great at kills. I don't even know. I don't even really want to put any of them that high up because they're all pretty shitty. I don't even know. That's why I couldn't rank these ones because none of them are even sticking out as like, oh yeah, that's the best one. That one like is just barely in the list because like they're all pretty bad. Like they're all pretty bad. The quite alright one I did a little bit of a ranking for, and the rock bottom one. The only one I'm not doing is Superman because there's just nothing I can really do with that one. But once again, there is your last look at my ranked top 3 tiers, the ranked top half of the list. Again, if you stuck through the video, you'll know I did most of quite alright and I did rock bottom. So you have my favorite kills of the Friday the 13th franchise, favorite kills / deaths, and then my least favorite kills / deaths, and then a little bit of a mixing around in the middle just to make things fun. Again, if you want to do this tier list yourself, by some chance, if you're crazy enough and want to do all 202 that I counted, feel free. The link to this will be in the description below. And then, of course, we will transition back to me in the usual setup for the outro. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments below if you agree or disagree with my ranking and tier listing. While you're at it, don't forget to let me know how you would rank every Friday the 13th kill / death. Of course, I'm just kidding. I don't expect you to do that, but please feel free to share your favorites or share your least favorites, or even share your own completed tier list with me on social media. Since it's also been a long time since we've seen anything new from Jason, what would you like to see from this franchise next besides the upcoming Crystal Lake prequel series? As a reminder, this is the revamped BAMTube Movies, and it is your one-stop for everything movies, be it ranking or tier list videos like this one, video essays, top 10s, or versus videos. I have it all and so much more, along with your daily nerdy news wrap-ups, where I keep you up to date on everything movies, gaming, and TV related. So be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that little bell icon so you don't miss a thing. As always, folks, I thank you all so very much for watching. Stay happy, healthy, and safe out there. From myself and the rest of the BAMTube team, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time, and that's a wrap.